found me. I don't know how much time I have left. He's coming. He's coming for all of you.
Emma wants to be your friend.
Give us a hug. Greetings and welcome once again to Solving the World's Problems. I am your host, Roman, with my co-hosts, John and Steven, and our special guest this week, Matt, Unbearable73, and maybe later on, the Nerdporeal Lifeform. I'll have to see if he pops in or not. Hoping so. So, how is everybody doing today?
Rather good.
Yeah.
Bleach came back and made me feel. I don't know if the whole season is going to be good, but when that Bleach music started up and the fight scene happened, I was like, it brought me back to everything I loved about Bleach, and I'm happy about that. I'm rewatching one of the most manly, awesome TV shows ever, The Last Ship, through 2 seasons, and I'm like, all this woke crap of women who don't act like women and men who don't act like men is being erased from my mind. Like, even the women in that show kick ass, but the way a woman should, with a friggin' gun,
I prefer it with a team of bad writers, Matt. So, John, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. We're talking about spooky movies, so I've got some Dead Guy Ale here in my mug.
Excellent. Dead Guy is one of my favorites. That is an excellent ale.
And my handmade mug here, I bought at a Viking festival here a couple of years ago, as well as a little bit of whiskey on the side, just in case. But otherwise,
none of these things are bad.
One more day of work, and then I can sleep in for 2 days.
What was that word you used? I didn't understand it. What? Work?
Oh yes, Mr. Retired Guy over here. Yeah, that's fine.
Steven, how are you this evening?
I am doing quite well. It's been a busy week. Finally got past my silly little drama thing over the weekend, and
excellent.
Moving on. Better things.
That is good news. I myself am engaged in my own personal hell, but that's not
but She-Hulk is over.
No, that's true. Which oddly enough is not She-Hulk. It's a external matter.
Silver linings.
Is it She-Hulk? Is X-E-Hulk? Whatever you pronounce that.
Know there's going to be a season 2.
I'm glad Shulk is over. Man, I did a show on that today. Please check it out. Where I get
but don't watch the show.
A full 10 minutes to express my entire feelings for the show. Don't watch the episode itself. Remember, I watch so you don't have to.
There's going to be a season 2.
You shut your dirty mouth, John. You just shut it now. That's not cool. He's probably right, though. Because they cannot help themselves. They just can't help themselves. But that's not what we're going to talk about tonight. We're not talking about that tonight.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
What you mean?
Well, it is frightening, though.
Yeah,
it's scary stuff to talk about.
It is.
Scary stuff. That's probably the scariest thing I've seen so far, and I haven't even watched the episode. Just watched reviews.
It's like we're living the plot of Brave New World,
Oh, Lord. It is dreadful. But tonight, the problem we are looking at is what is in the dark. What's under your bed? What's in your closet? What are the things that watch you while you sleep? And no, it's not John. Tonight, we're looking at... I'm sorry. I don't write these lines. Someone else writes these for me. I just have to read them.
You got Jake over there in the writing room.
So that would be Jacob of the Empire, my own personal typing monkey. So
Nice.
Tonight we are looking at scary movies, and this is our top 3 picks each. And if we have time, we can go into honorable mentions, or if we're just having fun with it, we can probably go on for some time on this topic. So you guys want to dive in right off the bat here?
Well, let me say up front, so I don't have to.
Yes.
Scary means a lot of different things, so everyone understands that.
He's not wrong.
There's intellectual scary. There's adrenaline scary. There's oh my God, my bleeps are getting cut off scary. So just bear that in mind as we give our movies.
Nice.
Because what scares?
Oh yeah, that's nothing. What scares you right now Might not have scared you 2 months ago, or might scare you or in 2 months from now. Yeah.
But I'm telling you, what scared me in 1973 still freaks me out today. I had a lot of in the dark issues because of this movie specifically, which I am not bringing up the right slide of because I am very old.
See, I thought you were talking about me because I was born in 1973, and I'm
that's true. I
you.
didn't connect these things, but now I have to question my entire
73.
existence.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of the dark.
I
This
remember
was a TV movie. TV movies were scary as shit in 1973. They did a remake. I think it was 2010, and I did not
Horrible.
see it.
Horrible.
I would assume it probably does not capture the same scary, eerie moments that this has. I'm just going to read you the quick what it is, and then we can discuss a little bit. And I don't think most of you, Matt, you saw this. Did
the
anybody else see
remake
this?
was bad. I haven't
Did you
seen
ever see the original? Okay.
Years and years ago, I liked it. I'm not saying it's like the top 10 all time type of thing, but
No, and it is a little schlocky, but it's one of those ones that stuck with me.
Yeah,
down through the years as just downright scary. And so the basic plot: a neurotic housewife named Sally and her business exec husband Alex, he's kind of a twat, move into Sally's family house, a spooky 2-story Victorian mansion. When Sally starts a redecorating along with her pompous decorator, she comes across a locked room in the house. After arguing with the handyman, who probably knows better, who insists she keeps the room locked, she finally gets the key. Once she opens her father's old study and has the bricks removed from the fireplace, strange things begin to happen. And those strange things come in the form of these weird little fucking creatures. This is another poster from the film from back in the day.
Excuse me, guys.
So this would be Sally and her twat husband. And you get these little motherfuckers. I know it doesn't look like much, but you don't see them. You honestly don't see them for most of the movie. When they're finally revealed, it's like, okay, they kind of look a little bit thing. Looks like a penis with a fur coat on. But you're not thinking about that when you're a little kid. Now it's kind of hard not to see it. But everything takes place in the shadows. The decorator ends up getting killed. He falls down the stairs, and there's a rope across the stairs. And Sally finds it, and she grabs the rope. And then the little buggers like pull her towards them, and no one wants to believe her. That's the really truly scary part of the movie, is that all these things are happening in the house to Sally by these. They also can't be exposed to light. Duh, don't be afraid of the dark. And no one will believe her. They all just think she's nuts. Why do you not listen to the handyman? He knew best. And a lot of it was kind of like this. Like I said, it's shadows. You just don't see them very well. But whenever the lights go out, now I'm scared. There they are. The weird little fellas that, like I said, have a mild resemblance to male anatomy, except wearing a fur coat. But this movie scared the shit out of me for a couple reasons. One, because you had these critters running around in the dark, these little demonettes. And two, because no one believed her. So that's just, we're starting off in 1973 with a TV movie that, like I said, legitimately scared the crap out of me.
What, you were 62 years old in 1973.
I was,
How
but
did
my
you get scared?
My medication has phases where sometimes I'm lucid, sometimes I'm less so.
So, one comment on the remakes. So people
Yes.
I love Guillermo del Toro. Don't get me wrong on that. But he needs someone. He's like George Lucas. He needs someone working with him.
He needs
to
a handler.
rein in his worst impulses. And a lot of what he did in the remake was very good, but he went overboard and ruined. Like, it became more of an exercise in directorial work than an actual horror film.
He needs a no man.
Yeah.
That is what John is to me. John is my no man.
Yep. So
let's see if we can.
Hi, how are you?
And I will say, I wrote a poem that is. I'm not going to read it now because it's a little long, but
About this?
loosely inspired by this.
Why
This
are
concept.
you not? Why are you not playing? Play! God damn it!
You know, after the show, I'll show it to you guys. It's what I think is my best poem. But it's the concept in this movie.
And it won't stop
is one
now.
thing that
Now it just
inspired
won't
me.
stop. Just keeps making noise. No, nothing's playing. Just you get a Miramax logo. Congratulations, Miramax. And no video.
Probably not a good idea to play it anyway.
I think
No, you're probably right. Yes, copyright
Well, you
strike.
could scare
He's
him
not
into the
wrong.
audience and
I
cause
know
them to
he's
be
not
fearful of
wrong.
him. Yeah.
Like Roman's about to go on like a rampage here or something.
Oh,
nice.
If you guys want to, by the way, a way around this.
Oh no! What the fuck? Oh, that's so bad. That may be the worst one yet. Oh no! Oh wow!
Is that
Don't Hulk out, Roman?
Is that Z-Hulk? Yeah.
Oh, that hurts my heart, Jacob. That hurts my heart. That one.
Oh, that one.
Right in the old.
This was all me. I'll take
You.
credit.
Oh no, that's actually much worse. Sorry, Jacob. I blamed you unnecessarily. You motherfucker.
Yeah, that was me. When I was in the studio, but camera and microphone were off, I was working behind the scenes finishing up this gem.
Oh, that was terrible.
Don't Hulk out. Don't Hulk out.
That was really fucked up, and I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was good. It was good. It was good. Steven isn't impressed. He ran all the smut theaters in Times Square back in '77.
Wait, is that me, Steven, he's referring to there?
Yes, it's got to be you. You're the only New Yorker we have. Matt's from New Jersey. I'm from a state next to you. John, he's native.
I've been accused of copycatting now.
That's a copycat. Nice. It may be. I don't know. Because there's probably Ryan Kinnell's face on there. Maybe Az at some point as well, because it's really the perfect form to turn into a meme.
Just don't say "come at me, bro," and we'll be all right.
That's literally something I'm never going to say.
Oh God, bring it on, Jacob. I want to see what you got.
No, there's another one.
What do you got?
I know.
Oh God, I looked that clip up on YouTube. Just that short clip of the guy like turning into the Hulk. I feel like a high schooler did the CGI.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Okay. Well, the AI explains everything in the end, so we're good to go. You know, they explained everything. We can all be comfortable watching season 2 now.
They fixed everything.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Roman? You ready for season 2?
Fixed. No, I'm looking forward to a year reprieve from this.
But then they'll probably come out with a new season of Loki.
That's already happening.
So
that'll come out before She-Hulk season 2.
God damn it.
Format purposes, are we gonna do like a round like we did last time? We went round with each of our movie like one at a time.
Yeah. That's my one. I'm just throwing it out there for now. The movie that scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid, or actually more like when I was a middle-aged man, I suppose. Back when I was 62. Is She-Hulk a horror story? Because we know it isn't a comedy. And Dempsey, you are 100% right with that comment. And welcome to the show. It's good to see you out there. So we've got Nosferatu, the vampire, Jacob Ironside, and Dempsey out there with us right now. If anyone else is lurking, please throw in a comment because I'd love to hear from you about this weird topic, She-Hulk or how much I hate John. Any of those are wide open. Matt, why don't you go ahead and do your thing?
I wanted to comment on your first film, Roman. I can understand, although there are some interesting caveats to this. I can understand why that movie creeped you out at a young age. I mean, 1973, you were still a youngster, right? I mean, legitimately, all jokes aside, you were pretty much a youngster at that point.
It's a movie I probably shouldn't have seen until I at least had a 1 in front of my birthday.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I was 4 years old when that came out. 3 years old when that came out. I was a baby. But the way those creatures look are certainly on parallel with a lot of alien abductee imagery. Those guys with their strangely shaped head in the dark with their large, open eyes, and there is something to that imagery.
It's unnerving. It is
Yeah.
an unnerving look.
And now I know why the Navy recruited you, because they know you were previously abducted. And
I'm already traumatized.
yeah,
It makes it so much easier. Nosferatu the vampire.
So
Roman is the only person in this community I would trust to hunt a 25-foot great white shark off Martha's vineyard. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that trust. I also, that's quality. That's good stuff. I wish I had a chalkboard behind me. I could scrape my fingernails down right now.
Nice.
You go in the cage. Cage goes in the water.
on
Sharks in the water.
Sharks in the water.
on that specific movie, the look of the monster, I'm gonna have to research this. It just comes to me now. There's a really good series of B-grade horror films called the Puppet Master series.
Mm-hmm.
Toulon's Revenge is like the third, and those little creatures look just like the miniatures in those movies. So I'm gonna have to find out if someone did the same special effects with that now.
Well, it wasn't a million years ago. So I mean, I guess actually, it kind of was a million years ago.
Also, for some reason between that, there are a lot of, I guess maybe because everyone was watching Hammer horror films and American Enterprise horror films, but there's a lot of also really good TV horror films from the 70s and early 80s. I'm going to do a video on it. As a matter of fact, I'll have to call up a bunch of.
That's a great idea, dude.
Like one of my favorite, just to mention it, is a horrible name. It's called Devil Dog: The Hound from Hell.
That's a terrible name. You're not wrong.
But it's a really good movie. But I'm going to do a video, and you've inspired me, Roman.
Nice.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I inspire people not to watch She-Hulk and hopefully to make some fun videos. Well, that's cool, man. No, I look forward to
some
seeing
fun
that.
memes.
Or if we're gonna do a round thing, that'd be if you want to do a group, I'm in. I'd love to be part of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, are we ready for movie number
one from one of the other three of us, I guess?
Yeah. So Matt, you go ahead. You're not over there though. You're over here. I'm still bad at this.
I'm gonna start with one of my favorite all-time horror films, and there's a little bit of explanation for why. Remember, I said at the beginning there's different types of scary.
Yes.
Now I'm fairly sure that Roman and I both grew up as Roman Catholics, right?
Yep.
For example, I don't know about the other two guys, but that's one of the trappings of our culture is an institution that's thousands of years old, right? And there's many other things like that, like other religions, and there's schools that go back hundreds of years. You've heard about there's conspiracy theories about those schools, like that, like Yale and Harvard supposedly have that what's that, Skull Society or whatever, or Skull and Bones. And all that. Skull and Bones, yeah. Or the Illuminati, right? So John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. When I first saw that film, it was in the 80s, obviously, and John Carpenter, my favorite all-time horror director. The premise of the film is that there's one. I'll be very careful not to spoil too much of it, but I have to explain why it's scary. The premise of it is there's one order of the Catholic Church that only ever has one priest in it, and he answers solely to a bishop and the Pope, and they're the only two guys who know what this guy is doing. Okay, and it's the oldest order in the Catholic Church, and the guy dies prematurely, and Donald Pleasance plays his chosen successor. And
Donald Pleasance.
Yep. And he's sent in by the bishop under the authority of the Pope to take over the order. But unlike the previous guys, he has no education on what the thing is about. So he goes into this and finds this science fiction looking canister full of fluid and a book. And the order's purpose is to guard that. As he reads more and more, he gets horrified as to what they're doing, and eventually calls a friend of his played by what's the actor's name? Big Trouble in Little China. He played the old wizard. You know what I'm talking about, though. He's in all John Carpenter's films. He plays an elite physics professor, and he calls him in, and he says, "Look," tells him what he found, and they investigate, and they find
Victor
this
Wong.
book. Victor Wong, yeah. This book is written in Aramaic, which is the language that Christ, yep. And the book has mathematical equations and constants in physics that humanity is just beginning to discover, right? And when they get into this, and while this is all happening, the liquid in this canister is slowly moving faster and faster and faster. And it turns out, and this is the mild spoiler part of it, that 2000, that canister came to Earth many, many thousands of years ago. Okay, and if any of you ever read the apocryphal texts for Christianity, when Satan and the 1/3 of the hosts of heaven were cast out of heaven, they were cast down as liquid into the abyss below, to quote one of the phrasings of it.
Okay.
So this jar literally has Satan in liquid form. Okay, and Jesus came to Earth, but see, they were aliens, right? So Jesus comes to Earth and he warns them, this thing is on your planet and you need to figure out what to do with it because it's going to open up someday. And he leaves the book as a guide to that. And that's the whole secret behind the Catholic Church. The reason they made this whole worldwide religion and all that is to decipher this book and protect that canister. And why it was scary to me was I'm sitting there thinking, now remember, I'm like, I don't know, 15 or whatever. And when you're that age, you begin to analyze what's going on around you in the world and like where you fit. And I'm seeing, I grew up in this Catholic church. I'm like, I know there wasn't Satan in a jar in real life. You know what I mean? But like, what's really going on there? You know, or what's going on with the government, or like these organizations that just tell us by default are a part of your life that no one ever questions, at least as far as I knew. Like, what's really going on was the scary thing to me. Like because when you think about it, and when you learn to be vaguely political, like in the 80s when the Randy Weaver situation happened, for those who remember that, and that was the first exposure to me of the government's perfidious nature in some respects. You know, I'm being vague about a political topic, just to be vague about it. But or when you or when you hear about some of the corporations who helped out the other side in World War II, who now we do business with every day, like it just makes you think. Like, and that was one of the horror elements of Prince of Darkness, was these everyday organizations, science, government, religion. What's really going on? You know, that was a scary thing to me. That's the scary.
Everything you've been told is a lie,
or worse,
or close to it.
Could be a lie because you don't know what's the truth. Then you have to look into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it's a great movie. It's John Carpenter's awesome scoring. There are quite a few plot twists I haven't spoiled. The actors do a great job. It's just a lot of a standard cast of John Carpenter films are in there. Plus, that one guy was in like every one of his films ever. You know, him, that guy right there. He's in almost every John Carpenter film. You know, so I recommend you watch it. It might not be as scary to you as it was.
This chick is still more attractive to me than She-Hulk.
Oh well, just wait. I got I've got something else to.
That's
share
my number one.
here.
Oh, by the way, and it's part of John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy with The Thing and what's the other film? My brain just died.
Escape from New York.
In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, Into the Mouth of Madness. I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Okay, yes.
Which is my favorite John Carpenter film, by the way, In the Mouth of Madness. So
what year was that? Prince of Darkness.
Crazy. 1987.
87, yeah.
87. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was actually working in the movie theater when that came out, so I saw that movie probably 60 times while working at the theater. It's and it's weird it's a weird movie, which is also fun. It's not the straightforward thing, and that to me makes it more fun. It's not, a dude with a knife coming after, his sister who died, or his sister from many years ago, or whatever. It's a strange horror movie, and that. Like I said, that to me made it fun.
Yeah. You want to know? It's really, truly, truly terrifying, though.
Oh God damn it! What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Really?
This one is Jacob.
Jacob! Why? Why?
What's even funnier?
Why?
Oh my God, that's
So-
great.
The way
It's so bad. Oh,
That's
my boobs
truly
are nice,
terrifying.
though. My boobs are awesome. I'm not going to say my boobs aren't awesome because they are, but it's still problematic for me. Oh my God! Why?
Thank you, Jacob.
Why?
there's something even funnier about
I
that.
thought we were friends.
I won't explain it unless no one brings up The Exorcist, then I'll explain it.
So, vegan 3. Male. What?
Vegan the male horse is gross to you. I'm not sure who that. It's a take on Megan the Stallion that was twerking with She-Hulk.
Oh, I apologize because I literally dumped that broad's name from my brain.
And that scene.
Well, I didn't know who she was supposed to be or who she is in the real world anyway. So to me, she was kind of a made-up character who was doing these things, but I guess she may or may not exist. Overall, I don't give a fuck.
This is what happens when you watch She-Hulk too much.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for that. Oh, damn it. That's damn.
That's truly terrifying.
Yeah,
Speaking of scary movies.
So John, I'm going to ask a question that I think I know the answer to already. Are you familiar with that film?
Which one?
The
Prince of Darkness.
I am not.
Okay. No, and
I'm not really familiar with it either.
I feel like for the most part, I feel like I'm fairly well versed in some of the horror genres, but maybe not as much as I maybe thought.
No, I would argue that no, you're not, because that's your thing. That's your, I don't want to say it's like your trademark, but it's
And you know what the worst part of all is? I never learned to read.
basically your thing. I don't write this script. It's handed to me by other people. I just have to do what's included in the script. So
Said George Lucas during the prequels.
so here we are. Wait. Oh, hang on. We had something in the comments here from Nosferatu, our good friend Nosferatu the Vampire. Wait, what? And that may be true. I'm going to be honest. I have never seen the Bridges of Madison County. I know that in a nice,
you're married,
not so
right?
elderly, it's Clint Eastwood and some lady. Who's the lady?
Sissy Spacek? Maybe
Meryl Streep. I don't
Meryl
know. There's
Streep?
a lot of these actresses who are semi-interchangeable to me.
Yep.
Again, it's not your fault. It's probably my fault, but I don't care. And I know he's a National Geographic photographer who's taking pictures of bridges, I think, in New England. I may be wrong. And he meets said Meryl Streep, Sissy Spacek type woman, and
it is Meryl Streep. Yes,
they have loves.
Pretty much. Sorry. Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, Meryl Streep.
Yep. I mean, it may be disturbing, but not in the same kind of way as like the little furry penis guys or the Prince of Darkness.
Oh, that just
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you. I don't know how this is gonna go though. You just gave me giant freaking boobs, dude. Giant green boobs, and I don't know where to go from that. I don't know where to go.
And on Monday, you were a horse.
And on Monday, I was a horse. I was a horse on Monday. A freaking horse, Jacob.
Get off me, She-Hulk lady.
It's so heavy. All right. Who wants to go next, John or Steven? I'd say wrestle it out, but that's not practical.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
I was thinking that Nosferatu, when he mentioned 1979, I didn't realize that he was talking about a version of Nosferatu that I'm almost completely unfamiliar with. The only one I know of is the original one.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I think I misread his. His post as well.
I saw that
he was
too.
saying
I didn't
something
realize
about
there was another version.
Hey,
Yeah,
Captain Infinity's in here. What's up, Captain?
In 1979, a film came out. I was in 5th grade at the time, and my dad, who was all about making his sons tough, took us all of his older boys to the movies, and I wound up going to see Alien at the age of 10.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, as a sci-fi geek, having seen some of the terrifying stuff on television, I had no idea what that word terrifying actually meant until I was sitting there trembling and then running up the aisle into the bathroom. I never finished watching the movie after that thing came out of his chest.
Oh my gosh.
It was over for me. I'm done. I was in the lobby for the rest of the film.
I had the exact opposite reaction there, buddy. When I was 6 when I saw that film, and I was like, I yelled there and said, "Yeah, that was awesome!" when that scene happened.
Oops, can I get rid of us all? I did.
So I kind of have a little bit of a funny story for my parents on the Alien movie. Is I guess my parents went and saw this movie in theaters when they were just dating, and they said the scene where the xenomorph sneaks up behind the guy in the air duct and he turns around and it like screeches at him. It scared the bejeepers so much out of my dad that he like screamed in the middle of the theater and like scared the piss out of the woman sitting next to them.
Nice.
And also another fun fact, that scene where the thing does bust out of the guy's chest, they didn't tell the rest of the cast that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So like their reactions were all very authentic, where they're like, "Oh my god, like he's choking, like what's happening?" Like all of that was very real because they didn't tell anyone else on set, at least not the actors. They didn't tell the other actors what was about to happen when that thing like popped out.
That's a standard Ridley Scott technique, by the way.
Which I think this and I was even gonna kind of take it as far back as like the Alfred Hitchcock movies, a little bit of like when we're talking about movies that are scary and like, oh well, maybe the little like penis head guys in your other movie were not that terrifying looking stuff, but really it's like there are movies, there's like really, really good scary movies are not visually scary, they're not visually grotesque.
It's
a lot of the ones that really scare the piss out of you are the ones that like psychological, that get into your head. Like Alfred Hitchcock was the master of that, and his movies were very simple, but like you sometimes you almost get scared by what you don't see. And what was good about the first Alien movie was you didn't really see the creature for most of the movie. In later sequels, they kind of beat the dead horse and whatever.
Well, what it looks like.
Alien, Jaws is another really good example of like it's what you don't see that scares you.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with this scene now is I only ever see the Spaceballs version, which is why I probably hate Spaceballs.
Hello, my darling.
Baby, hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Good grief. I hate that movie with a passion.
You little bastard.
Love that movie.
So I guess I hate the balls.
Well, if we were doing 5 films,
clip.
one of mine would be a Hitchcock film.
Well, we might get an honorable mention in, and that's okay. That's okay. I personally, and so this movie didn't scare me. We did have the jump scare stuff, which is kind of expected. The thing that did bother me, the disturbing aspect of the film, was always the face hugger. The face hugger always bothered me more than the alien. The whole
it's invasive,
right on you and just kind of there, and ew, that creeped me the hell out. Also, not Bishop. What was the android's name?
Ash, wasn't it?
Ash. Thank you. Good Lord. I'm very old. You'll just have to forgive me on a lot of these slips. When he started going full android and he balled up the magazine and he was shoving it into her mouth, trying to suffocate her, that was a fucked up scene. That was visually very disturbing. I don't know if that's in the kind of mix here. That was nice.
Well, to clarify,
I don't have any more marmalade. You're going to have to go to the store. Come on.
I never got scared by pretty much anything after that. I mean, that was the most terrified I ever was in the theater. And it was mostly just because I was just ill prepared for the graphic nature of it.
Well, you're scared by Bilbo Baggins stuffing a towel down someone's throat.
No, the creature coming out of the guy's chest. I never saw the rest of the film in the theater until years later. And I saw it on TV years later, of course, and VHS, but it was never that terrifying after that. After that, it was just a science fiction film.
Yeah. Again, it's just, I think it's sort of like the mystery of it. It's more of like the psychological thing. Dempsey's got a hot take here. He said facehuggers have a forced coitus kind of vibe going on. You don't die
Yeah.
right away. You stew in it for a while. It's like that's
Mhm.
terrible
No,
to think about.
it
Like
is.
this
It's
thing
like
is
you're getting
growing
throat
inside of you
raped
and then just
by
like breaks out through your
this
rib cage.
creature.
Like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Plus the fears of suffocation and
No, exactly. All those things are
blindness.
together, but I loved. I mean, I did love the movie. I loved the realism of the movie, and that's a Ridley Scott thing as well. The realism of the film, and just kind of the pilots. Man, that was just such a fascinating concept, which they spoiled in Prometheus. But before they did that, you had this, and it was just so the mystery.
Like
The mystery,
yeah,
Ridley Scott. That's the important part.
Prometheus is one of those weird movies where it's like I was able to kind of appreciate it for what it was, but there were a lot of issues and a lot of disappointments at the same time. That
Well,
There it is. That little bastard hopping on.
it was a
there.
lot better than Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant was the
Oh, here
worst
it is.
one.
Here it
I think I've told this story before. I went and saw Alien Covenant in theaters with
Yeah.
some friends, and I had one friend, like the credits rolled, and I have this one friend who has kind of this deep, bassy, but like very loud, booming voice who literally screamed out in the theater, "We've been duped again! God damn it, Ridley Scott!"
Yeah, he wasn't wrong.
I don't know. Have they ever released an extended Prometheus? Because usually Ridley Scott's problem.
That sounds like a euphemism, Matt.
Well, it's like what was the last? What was his with Liam Neeson and the last
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Last
Like,
Kingdom.
the Last Kingdom. No, the last
Last Kingdom. Last Kingdom. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that was about the conquest of Jerusalem by the Romans.
The 2-hour version of the movie is bad, but when you watch the extended version, it's excellent. Even his good films, when you watch the extended versions of it, like Blade Runner or Black Hawk Down, they're like awesome, compared to the originals. So, and Prometheus, like if you read the story he intended to film, I don't know, like it makes much more sense, like there's more than I'm not going to go into it. It could have been a lot more than it was, and
he kept flip-flopping back and forth of like, it's going to be a prequel. No, it's going to be its own standalone movie. Well, it's going to take place in the same universe. It's like, even while he was making the movie, he couldn't decide what it was going to be. And so it seemed like this weird mishmash, like hodgepodge. We're going to kind of make it a prequel, but we're only going to tie it in like a mid-credit scene. And it was like, I don't know.
It was supposed to explain stuff, but not be in the sense of being a prequel, but not be a direct like linear prequel like it became with Covenant and all that.
Well, but it was.
Oh God, Covenant was so bad.
Fuck Covenant.
Covenant was so bad.
All right, so
that
image there is the one that bothers me the most in this whole thing, is that one.
Free hugs.
Yay! Give me a hug. So. All right, so John, we are on to you.
Well, I don't know. I kind of had a couple different things because on one hand, it's like we were picking maybe like our favorite scary movies, but then we're also picking movies that actually like really scared the crap out of us. So since it hasn't been brought up yet, I'm just gonna go for it, and I'm gonna say The Exorcist.
Nice.
Any kind of exorcism movie, anything. I mean, maybe it's on someone's list. Maybe it's number 2, number 3, whatever. Or I could go with The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I could pick a different one. But
no, the jug is broken. It's already out there.
I can do a whole.
Okay, well, maybe I'll just go with Jaws. I'll pick Jaws then. Whatever.
No, you know what? Fuck Jaws.
Well,
fuck Jaws. That's how I feel about fucking Jaws now.
But yeah, no. So I mean, I've talked about this in previous live streams where I used to be able to watch any kind of scary movie, anything, and be like completely unfazed by it. But something clicked in my brain about 10, 11 years ago where me as being someone who does believe in God and believes in an afterlife and, heaven, hell, demons, all that stuff. Like I just one of these days, like something just clicked and I was like, ooh, like I can't watch this stuff anymore. It really creeps me out. The Exorcist as a movie, yes, like there's a lot of Hollywood of like her head spinning around and the weird shit and stuff like that. But
it was the
overall
for me in this
just
one,
the supernatural aspect of something that you can't see invading your whole being, taking over your whole body that you can't control. You can't see it, but now it's taking control of you. That like That just creeps me out.
Well, I liked like all the precursors to that. So before she is like, fully Pazuzu'd out, her mom's hearing the scampering in the attic, and Reagan is acting oddly. She
Well, there's even the
teases
scene
party.
where they're walking into the house, and before they turn the lights on in the kitchen, you see the face that's your background right now, like
Yeah.
on a kitchen cabinet or something. So like they kind of stuck that image in there a few times early on too.
Yeah, and they did that. They did that as a shock thing, but it was really, and it was
It's really
it was,
creepy.
it's kind of weird though, because it was like subtle shock, but it was still very fucking creepy.
So to explain what I was going to say before with the face you keep showing, the reason we know about that face is because we have things like DVDs and Blu-rays and streaming, and we can slow things down. That face appears several times in that film, and he put it in deliberately to be a subliminal message.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I said it was funny what you're doing before is that every time you would flash to one of Roman's things, this is the scary Roman, the image is flashing on the screen. It's like you're doing an homage to The Exorcist every time you do it.
I'm sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's exactly that, where it's like it's super quick, where it's like if you're not really paying attention, and back before you could buy VHS or whatever and take it home, like if you didn't catch it, you didn't catch it. But it's there and it's quick, but it's freaking creepy.
Yeah. And then another thing to say about this film, like probably a little generational again. I'm not sure, Stephen, what your background is, but Roman and I were both Roman Catholics growing up,
Yeah, me too.
And like I remember this film being the thing people were talking about when I was a kid. And my grandma was like, when I was like 8 or 9, she got me to all these movies. She goes, Matt, we got to watch The Exorcist. It's coming on TV for the first time tonight. We got to watch The Exorcist.
Watching it on TV.
Yeah. Because my grandmother loves like science fiction and horror and all that stuff. And she was a devout Catholic, and we all knew like the differences between the movie and the real way. And again, I respect everyone's religions and beliefs. I keep mine out of it. This even when I went to the Jesuit high school, this film came up, and because the Jesuits, for those who don't know, are one of the orders that do exorcisms. Okay, not all the Jesuits, but many of your official exorcists. There's usually an assigned exorcist per parish. It's technically the archbishop, and he picks one priest to be the exorcist. But nowadays they have traveling exorcists who go to the parishes where the archbishop wants
but
one.
Not every priest is an exorcist. That's the thing.
They all go through the basic ritual, but they're not trained in the special stuff. Anyway, to keep the Catholic like deep dive out of it. So Jesuits were actually did like a breakdown on the film. I remember saying like see this is kind of real. Like in a real exorcism they would do this dual prayer type of thing, and but obviously there's no spinning heads. It's all blah blah. And,
right.
But the speaking tongues is a thing some of them said they experienced, and that sort of stuff. And so it's kind of a fascinating cultural thing. I mean, if we went to 10, I'd probably put this on my scary. It doesn't scare me now. I've seen literally hundreds of possession films. Some of which I could think of, like Possession of Emily Rose and the German film that's based on Annalise. Have you ever seen the German film that Emily Rose is a remake of?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of them we could do. We would do another Halloween stream with just possession films with me on it, and I'll go
Lord.
But this film was scary, and the book, I read this book when I was maybe 10 or 11. And one more thing to say: if you like this film, ignoring all the horrible sequels like Exorcist 2 through 17 or whatever they're up to now, the Exorcist TV show is one of the 10 best TV shows of all time.
I don't remember.
I actually just recently read about that there was a series with Tina Davis playing Reagan grown up, but then there's also what they call a legacy sequel coming.
Since you just spoiled it,
nice job,
read about the series. It's immediately out there. It's one of the first things you read about.
But you didn't know that she was Reagan until she like the 4th or 5th episode. You know what I mean?
All right, I messed up.
No, it's okay. It's okay because it doesn't take away from how great the show was. The two priests are awesome. The guys who play them are great actors. And the second season, nothing to do with Reagan and storyline. It's a total other scenario. The guy who played the possessed person should have won the best TV actor, whatever you call it, BAFTAs and Screen Guild and all those awards. He was the best actor on the TV show for that entire year. But it's worth watching that 2 seasons of Exorcist. Sorry for the rant.
But yeah, I will definitely say
good.
like this, like the Exorcist is one. It's like, okay, that's obviously like the original one. Like I probably saw when I was pretty young, and that's why it scared the crap out of me.
What?
But then
for your
honorable,
there is a triumphant moment of faith at the end of the first season of the Exorcist TV show. It's triumphant. It totally encapsulates everything in the Catholic version of what the demons are. Demons are all fallen angels in Catholicism. Okay, and all that totally encapsulates it. Not going to spoil it, but I'm saying when Reagan triumphs, so to speak, is a triumphant moment of faith in that played perfectly.
I wanted to talk about this for a minute, and there are many scenes involved with this, where her mom didn't know what was wrong with Reagan,
right?
And she sent her, and they were doing all these horrible medical tests to Reagan, where she's obviously in pain or suffering during these tests. Because they don't know what to do. Nerdporeal!
Hey, we got.
Hey, welcome to the show. Perfect timing.
Hey, I'm sorry. Today I identify as the horror-poreal gross out. So, just saying.
I apologize.
Get the pronouns right, Roman.
Out.
No, they're not.
I may end up just calling you horporeal, which is not exactly what anybody wants to get out of it. So,
yeah, I just saw a movie.
So what did you see? Share that with us.
I saw Halloween Ends.
And
okay. And I didn't like it at all.
Well, that's not surprising.
It hasn't been a good Halloween film since Halloween 4.
Well, I liked Kills. I liked 2018. I like Kills. This movie, why do you go see a Halloween movie? You go see Michael Myers or The Shape kill people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was barely in the movie.
Oh
no!
They did something
they got
weird. They did something.
They have to make
weird.
it all about all the female leads now, right?
Not even that. They started a weird storyline. I don't want to spoil the movie if anyone wants to see it. But
is that even possible, buddy?
I do plan on watching it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just say I don't know where to begin.
That's not an endorsement when you're like,
somebody else was killing people other than Michael Myers in this movie. I'll say that.
What in the?
That is uncool.
Laurie Strode finally snaps.
No, it's not Laurie Strode, but she knows that this person is capable of evil by just looking into his black eyes.
So they basically ripped off the plot of a Friday the 13th film.
The which one?
Of a Friday the 13th film. Jason wasn't the only one doing all the killings in the Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, you're talking about part 5?
Parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Jason wasn't the only killer. Wasn't the only killer.
Well,
I literally got
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah.
And she was hot, except for that whole headless thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Mrs. Voorhees.
You're right. Ted Bundy. You're right. The premise of Halloween should be Michael Myers. Should just be Michael Myers, like the opposite of Friday the 13th.
Or do what they did with Halloween 3. Make it an anthology. Make it some spooky story. Like Season of the Witch. I would have been fine with that. To be honest.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of people, my Matt the drummer, I make fun of him a lot. He's the drummer for the band. He is a huge fan of Halloween 3.
It's very easy to make fun of drummers.
It is because drummers are the drummers. But I wish they had done something different with the franchise at that point. Halloween 1 and 2 were very much tied together, but then they threw 3 out there like it was, and it confused people.
It's like they sold off the franchises, different directors.
They should have just gone with literally anything else, and that would have been a better idea. Because then they could have done that anthology series, something different every year. Tales of Halloween, something like that would have been better. Just change the title up just enough so people understand. But Halloween Part 3, you're thinking Michael Myers, but clearly it's not Michael Myers. It's kids with scary masks, and it was But if you watch it without the Halloween premise, it's a fun movie, but you just need to go into it with that.
Well, if Halloween 3 was Halloween 2, and then they were in Halloween 3 was the return of Michael Myers, everything, then it would have worked.
We don't talk about the return of Michael Myers.
Or the Revenge of Michael Myers, or the
Revenge
Curse of Michael Myers, like the Return of the Pink Panther, Revenge of the Pink Panther.
The Revenge of the Revenge of Michael Myers. Oh my God. because they made like 6 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
There were a lot. He
4 or
kind of became
5.
like a
I
he
think
became
6.
like a Jason, like a Freddy Krueger, where he was just
Maybe
this,
7.
like unkillable entity.
I'll say
Well, that was
this.
from the
I
first
think
film.
this might be tied with the worst of all the Halloween movies. This Halloween
Ooh.
Ends.
That's some heavy stuff,
Oh,
man.
wow.
It was very anticlimactic. Like, I prefer 4, I prefer 5, I prefer 6, I prefer H2O.
Wow.
Heck, even Busta Rhymes, Busta kicking Michael Myers out of his own house in
That
Resurrection.
was the one thing post.
When on H2O, it had what? It was LL Cool J was in H2O.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this: the thing is, Myers the Shape was a presence in all these movies. I have not seen the Rob Zombie ones.
Oh,
I refuse to see them because of. I mean, Dempsey. I know Dempsey in the chat told me the first Rob Zombie one's actually pretty good, but the second one is batshit crazy. So I compare this to the batshit crazy Rob Zombie one.
I don't know if I ever saw the second one, but in the first one, he does give Michael a little more of a backstory. Like they dive into Michael's psyche a little bit more in the Rob Zombie one. Like I said, I honestly can't remember if I saw the second one, but is it anything that I'm going to recommend anyone go and watch?
probably not.
Take out the name Halloween and Michael Myers from Rob Zombie's 2 movies. They're both pretty good. Like there was all the elements of the relentless serial killer, but there wasn't the sort of mystique of Michael Myers like that you got from John Carpenter's first film that carried through 1, 2, 3, and 4 basically, and you got lost after that.
I got the perfect
Well,
name I got the perfect name for that movie now. Now that you said get rid of Halloween, get rid of just the name Halloween, call it The Devil's Darling, and that'll be, Michael Myers changed his name. He's the Devil's Darling. Just like Devil's Rejects, the Devil's Darling.
Does he identify as?
I like the Devil's Rejects because I love gore films. So it's like, yeah.
That was a hard movie to watch.
Yeah.
Lord. Well, since you just hopped in there, Nerdporeal gross out. What is your? We're kind of going round table on our top movies until we get to a point where we're just. It's done. So what do you got?
Well, I got one that I saw about 10 years ago on Netflix. It's a French film. I gotta look up how it's called in French.
He's muted.
We just lost your audio.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Yep.
Although when we couldn't, it actually became a horror movie all in itself.
Okay, it's a French movie. Came out in 1960. It's called Les Yeux sans visage, also known as Eyes Without a Face. It's one of those movies I saw, and it gave me the heebie-jeebies just watching it. Just the idea, and this is where
here we go. I got it.
So I'll just say this: it's basically about not a mad scientist, but a mad plastic surgeon who has a daughter that has a disfigured face, and so she wears this mask. And so what he does to help his daughter is kidnap women. Has his assistant kidnap women that look like her, that share her facial features. He cuts off their faces and grafts them onto his daughter. And the thing is, the daughter's faces always, like those faces that he puts on his daughter, always are rejected by her immune system. So he has
God!
Yes, yeah. Let's just say one of the victims wakes up, sees herself in the mirror, and she just freaks out and commits suicide. And this is where
that is a creepy, disturbing premise.
Yes, and this is where John Carpenter kind of got the featureless mask idea for Halloween.
I became aware of this movie because of the great Billy Idol song.
Yeah, that too.
And which is about
man,
he loves horror movies, by the way, Billy Idol, and so.
Yeah, I wonder if Hannibal Lecter saw this movie, because he certainly did that at the end of the climax of Silence of the Lamb. He took some guy's face off and put it on his own. One could
Yeah, that's how he
think that-
escaped. I think that's how he
Yeah.
escaped. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's
I
a
forgot about
cannibalism
that.
from the books. You know.
Yeah,
And there's
that's,
and there's dogs in
that's
this.
a
There's
creepy
and there's
thing,
doggos
dude.
in this movie too.
That's a very disturbing. Yeah, I'm all. Oh Lord. Yeah, I'm all skeeved out now.
Well, let's
Thank-
just say
thank-
there's a moment where you see where you see her take off her mask, and a woman, the victim, sees her and just freaks the hell out. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's interesting though. We're talking about
Maybe
like
to the
going back to
French.
the Michael Myers and like the expressionless mask in the face, whatever. Is everyone here aware of what the Michael Myers mask is?
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
Captain Kirk mask.
Yep.
Yeah, it's It's a unpainted version of William Shatner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's the best version of William Shatner is the unpainted version, to be fair. Here, talk amongst yourselves for like 1 second. I gotta
Speak
drop
not ill
out
of the
for one
great
Go
moment.
ahead.
Speak not ill of the great Shat.
You are just. I'm gonna pull up those Hulk memes again. I swear.
One time, William Shatner actually dressed up as Michael Myers for Halloween. He wore his own mask. He wore the Michael Myers.
That's amazing.
Mask. Yeah.
Mm.
I remember the Twilight Zone episode where the beautiful woman, they're telling her she's like she's wrong with her and no one can figure it
Yep.
out, and then
Yep.
they wind up like doing surgery and they take the mask off. She's ugly, and you look around and everyone else is ugly, so to speak. That's kind of the same. You know, that's also that reminded me of.
I wouldn't doubt that one inspired the other. I'm sure the Twilight Zone episode predates this French film.
Twilight Zone was 1958 or 59, the first season. So
And the movie came out in 1960, so
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
they both could have been drawn
Oh,
off another
wow.
concept, though.
I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah.
1960. That's old.
Yeah. Mhm.
So maybe not. Interesting. That's
Oh,
one of my
yeah.
deepest fascinations is the origin of some of these plot devices. Because some of them you think they're really, really unique, and then you go reading Victorian literature, and you're like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, that's why I made that point a few weeks ago, and I think on one of you guys' streams. Like, so most of the stories we encounter, they're thousands of years old, just repeated with different characters and settings. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, after the Epic of Gilgamesh, which I think is the oldest recorded book or whatever, how many stories that we have that are just basically the same general thing, just with different characters?
Well,
So
it's yes and no on that though, because you take a theme. I mean, a theme is the underlying bit for any story, but it's how you bring that theme about that I think makes it unique in its own way.
Yeah, and I'm not criticizing originality in any sort of way whatsoever, because stories, even ancient stories, can be brought into the present day, resurrected, so to speak, and become something wholly unique in and of themselves, merely because we're living in the modern world now. Like the story of The Exorcist is a perfect example. That story wouldn't be nearly as terrifying if it wasn't so grounded in reality. There were scientists, there were bedrooms, there were windows, there was glass that broke, and nobody was looking at the camera tongue in cheek. This was all diehard serious. There were no jokes in that movie, not a single tongue-in-cheek
So
joke.
they weren't breaking the fourth wall like She-Hulk did.
Don't do it.
That's
God
right.
damn
Yep.
it,
Nobody
God.
was climbing down the Netflix streaming platform
Friedkin's,
to get into the other stream.
Friedkin's book was based on his interest in a real world exorcism from like the 60s.
Right.
I don't know
And
how case it is.
the movie Psycho was also based on a real world event as well.
Yeah.
My boobs are not as good in that picture as they
No,
were in
I
Jacob
messed up on
Ironside,
that
so
one.
I'm a little disappointed, frankly.
Well, Roman, we have to be generous. John is getting frightened by all of these scary movies, and we need to allow him to, chuckle himself up a little bit by showing this actual horror, this actual contemporary horror image.
They're the boobs. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I don't know. I think your abdomen too is a little frightening. I don't.
What do you mean? I don't have room for organs? Whatever.
Well, that shirt just doesn't go with those jeans.
That got so weird so fast.
Yes, I tried my best.
Actually, Nosferatu just brought up a good point here. Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Silence of the Lambs were all inspired by Ed Gein.
Yep.
If
And those
you've
are the ones
not
too where you
watched anything about Ed Gein,
Yeah,
creepy.
And-
You'll get
and-
nightmares just from watching a documentary about this guy.
Yeah, and those are the ones too. You get these horror movies where they say like based on true events, based on true stories. It's like they're very loosely based, but the bits
Yes.
that they are very disturbing.
When you talk about bits in Ed Gein, you better be careful.
yeah.
Oof.
All right,
those are
so-
the things that creep me out the most. Are some of the true stories, the documentaries about a true story, because it's just
Yeah.
like, oh man, those poor people. Good grief.
Yes. So we'll move on now. And we're gonna rotate things up a little bit as far as the order goes. I'm gonna knock this one out and then we'll
Someone didn't
move
go
things
though.
on,
Who didn't
'cause-
go?
What's that? What's that?
Did all 5 of us give one movie already?
All 5 of us gave one.
Yes, we all got one in now. So much like She-Hulk, when it seems like every male character on the show got one in.
There are no
Nice.
characters on She-Hulk.
Yep, they all took a
Oh,
turn.
Lord.
It was a She-Hulk
it's
train.
Not good. She's a bit of a whore. So anyway,
It was a bit of a reach, and you had to explain it, and you just
I didn't have to explain it. I chose to explain.
Oh my god, one of my favorite movies and books.
So, again, this is a TV movie, and I know they've done a series, and I know there's another series. John, I think is it in works or is it dead?
well,
It's
no. So the other one, the one with Rob Lowe, was done very much like this, where it was like a TV miniseries done in
Right,
2
but
or
there's
maybe 3
another one
parts.
that was supposed to
The
be in
new
works.
one, I don't know if the new one was supposed to be a standalone movie or a series, but I think it got shelved quietly because it was on the release schedule, and then it got
probably for the
pulled from the
best.
release schedule, but then they didn't say why.
It's still in pre-production, but it got bumped back on the.
Oh, that
priority.
means it's probably dead.
It's
So
being hit by all the
1978,
money problems.
and nicely, this was directed by Toby Hooper, who gave you Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The successful writer Ben Mears returns to his hometown, Salem's Lot, Maine, expecting to write a new novel about Marston House. Ben believes that the house draws evil men, since the place has many tragic stories. And Ben saw a ghostly creature inside the house when he was 10. I mean, who didn't? Ben, seriously? Ben finds that the Marston house has just been rented to an antique dealer, Richard Stryker, and his partner, not like it means today, like it used to mean, Kurt Barlow, that is permanently traveling. Ben meets the divorced teacher, Susan Norton, and I won't go into that other line. Ben also gets close to her father, not in the way that it means today, and his former school teacher, Jason Burke. When people start to die anemic, Ben believes that Straker's partner is a vampire. How to
That's a
convince his
sharp
friends
leap.
that he is not crazy and that this is true. So we go to a similar theme to some of the things that I find scary. The monster and people not believing you when you tell them there's a
There's a
freaking monster. And that's, for me, a lot of the scary stuff in Salem's Lot, aside from the story itself, which on its, just with no visuals is terrifying. The visuals are really scary. Not so much of this. He was in Starsky and Hutch for the. those of
That's
you who are
pretty
not
scary.
aware.
Favorite TV shows, Starsky and Hutch.
It's the hair. It was very stylish in the age. So this is the kid, Mark. He's wearing. That was a nice ensemble back in the 70s.
And nice
This-
refrigerator, by the way.
When you were
Bonnie Bedelia,
62
who
years
you will
old.
remember from Die Hard. That
Die
is.
Hard,
That's
Mhm.
Macaulay
wife.
Culkin's aunt.
Is she also the aunt?
Really?
That's Macaulay
I
Culkin's
know
aunt.
in real life she's the aunt.
Yes,
Oh,
in
in-
real life.
I was
In
like,
real
she
life.
So
was not in Home
Culkin
Alone.
was just
No, she wasn't.
another nepotism story out of Hollywood. Fuck Culkin. That's what I got from this. Okay. So
I
okay.
actually
Yeah,
read
that's
the I read the novel. I never saw this, but I actually did read the Stephen King novel, and it's the scariest
Yes.
Stephen King book I've ever read.
Yeah. This
It's
is
this
scarier
is the
than
Glick
It.
brothers.
It's scarier than It. It's scarier
Oh,
than
man.
Carrie. I mean, maybe it's not scarier. It's scarier than The Shining. I've read all of
Wow.
them.
This is Stephen
Yeah,
King's favorite novel that he ever wrote.
Gosh,
And
when I
there's
read
Mr.
it,
Stryker.
that was 1,300 pages of wow.
And
I'll say this: this was a very unique take on vampires. So
Yes,
Mhm.
I love
vampires in this story stalk you, and the scariest chapters, the scariest segments that I felt scared were from the point of view of victims who felt like they were being stalked, and they knew they were being stalked, but they didn't know what to do about it. Like there were kids wandering in the woods that scared the hell out of me. And then there was a young man or a young guy that woke up and he felt like he was being stalked when he was in bed at night. And
well, that's how
it's just the way he wrote it. It was just it was
in the
just
war. That's how they are.
with
Like before
Danny Glick
vampires, you know.
scraping on the glass
Mm.
is just so scary because his claws are making a scrape on the glass. It's very it's almost like your fingers on a chalkboard.
Mm.
And the look that they chose for the vampires in this,
the yellow
I think, is
eyes.
just phenomenal.
What
Yeah,
I thought was really
very-
creepy was the guy who was like the adult that was staying in the hotel or whatever it was thing, and then he turns into a vampire, and the old guy checks on him, and he keeps like saying
Yes.
like, "Look at me," look like that. Oh, that scene was creepy.
I'm assuming this is the main vampire. This is
That is Kurt
Barlow.
Barlow.
Yep. And
I love the Nosferatu look, and I know it doesn't match the novel, which is
Yeah, because when I think of the novel, I think of it just an old guy with gray hair who.
So when they
intelligent.
did the remake in, I think it was the early 2000s with Rob Lowe as the main lead guy, this main vampire was played by Rutger Hauer, and he just looked very much like Rutger Hauer. Like he wasn't bald, he didn't have the two long front teeth. So they say that one is more book accurate, but this one is more visually unsettling.
well, this one was truer to the spirit of the book, whereas the low one was truer to the writing of the book, so to speak. I mean, like I said, this is Stephen King's favorite adaptation of his book, aside from his favorite book. And the Rob Lowe one kind of went a little similar but different direction. It's still a good movie, that take on it. There's a TV show sequel to this, which is horrible. Don't ever watch it.
oh, it is. I saw it. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's because it's comedic. It's almost like a parody of a vampire.
Not just comedic. I don't know if you read a lot of Stephen King books, but Stephen King writes about this area after Salem's Lot. Okay. Yeah. And it's not a pleasant part of the US to go to. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, just because you take out the main vampire doesn't mean you take out everybody, and that's how the book ends open-endedly.
Like Stephen King's New England is someplace you really don't want to live.
Well, and it's interesting that he actually liked
town,
this.
Derry. Derry is brought up a lot in his.
Yeah, that's a fictional town, but everything takes place.
You're a fictional town, asshole.
It is interesting that he actually liked this film adaptation of his book because he's been notoriously critical of most of his film adaptations.
Shining. Excuse me. All right, that was
yeah. So that's another weird one where like he didn't like the one with Jack Nicholson, but then there was the TV miniseries one that came out in the 90s that again it was like more book accurate, but because
I didn't like that one.
It was more book accurate, but because it was made for network TV, it was massively censored. So it's kind of like pick your pick. Like,
and the CGI was bad. The CGI.
Oh, it was terrible.
I'm not a big fan of Stanley Kubrick, so.
Whoa!
And thanks
for being on the show, man. It's been nice having you.
I tend to read the books he writes based on before I watch his movies, and then I go watch his movies, and I'm like, something's missing. It's just not, you know what I mean? Like it's not a faithful adaptation when he does it, you know?
Right. Well, Stanley Kubrick would require faith to actually be faithful to a book. He's inspired by multiple books, but
I mean the only exception to that is 2001 because both he and Clark both wrote the book and the movie, like
right.
co-venture. Yeah, it's a co-venture on both sides. So, and Clark is not someone who would ever tolerate someone just like that's why he wrote 2010 because the book in 2064 because Kubrick he felt betrayed the story in the movie.
So what about this one here? Dempsey says he thinks 30 Days of Night had
30
decent
Days of
vampires.
Night.
That was
I
a good movie.
love
that was good.
I actually have kind of a funny, really short, funny story with that one. So any of us that lived in Southern California in the year 2011 is known as like the Great Blackout that took place all the way from down into Mexico, I think up to like Los Angeles and into a part of Arizona.
it was
Something knocked
huge.
out a massive grid where we were without power for like a day or two.
Aliens.
And I remember living in an apartment at the time, and like I'd just gotten home from work and power went out, and we very quickly realized how big the power outage was. And I pull out my laptop and I go, well, the laptop still got some juice in it. Let's like flip through some DVDs and see what we got. And my roommate and I, we sat there and we watched 30 Days of Night while like, all of Southern
Good
California
move,
was
buddy.
having a massive rolling blackout.
Nice.
That's my son. He's always right on top of things, folks.
That's what she said. Hey-o.
Oh, and now I got to get rid of John again. Okay, so
It's been nice being here. Nice talking to everyone.
no, I really enjoyed 30 Days of Night. What I like the semi-smart vampire story where they still have some control over what they're doing, and they have connections to the people who they're going after. And I know that's creepy and everything, but it's kind of supposed to be. But that's not unlike the vampires in the Stephen King in Salem Plot. They connected with the people they were going after. Now you could have random people, but it was a specific connection that they still had in their noggin when they became other. So let's go back to Matt's. You want to roll with your number 2, buddy?
Sure. So remember I was talking about different reasons for things being scary, as I mentioned. So I've seen, I'm going to say, like just this morning, I said I was watching another bad horror film. I have seen tens of thousands of horror films, okay? I just play them all the time just because I love them. I'm always trying to find a good one to catch, So this film came out a few years ago, and everything about it said to me that, like, it was going to be problematic, like not good. But then I watched it, and I was like, and I watched, there was a guy named Spoonie who reviewed it. I don't remember who Spoonie is. And then Spoonie recommended, I'm like, oh, I want to watch this. It's called The Conjuring. And
oh, God.
Yes.
There's a thing called jump scares, right? Which became the thing in horror for like 20 freaking years, which are so overused. And now there's another concept that we hear about in a bad thing called subversion and deconstruction, where certain people, Marxists, use it to destroy our culture with wokeism and all that. But in the proper use of subversion and deconstruction, or subvert your expectations in a good way and to deconstruct a trope to see what makes it tick. And in The Conjuring, like there was a perfect scene, like when she's going into the basement and she has the lighter, and you're expecting that thing to jump scare her every single friggin' time she lights the lighter. And it never happens. And you're still scared as if it were going to do it, And the whole film, Juan just deconstructs and subverts jump scares in a way that makes you understand why you would be afraid in those circumstances, and from a horror movie point of view or whatever, but still adds a horror element to the film. We talked about it before with The Exorcist and with Prince of Darkness, like a subvert, like the sort of what's really going on, and or the possession stuff, and there's a lot of common elements to these films, but when they put it together in all the right ways, plus the great cast in this film, or what you mentioned in Salem's Lot, another great cast, or 30 Days a Night. What sold that film to me was the cast. And it's a great comic book. It's based on, guys, if you ever want to read it.
Yes.
But,
oh my God, the comic book. That is a brutal comic.
Now, all the Conjuring sequels, while they keep some of those elements the same, they make the mistake that did the original film which was subverting and deconstructing jump scares among other things. And they just keep going on with that trend with Conjuring 2, which was an okay film, and all those nun movies and all that. And then Annabelle and all that. Like, they're okay movies, but none of them are as good as the first Conjuring for all the reasons like that all the stuff they put in it, plus the subversion and deconstruction of jump scares.
This movie scared.
Oh, there's another one, right? There's a scene right around when the clip you just showed where there's a closet in the room and you're expecting something to be in that closet, every
You're
time
waiting
you
for
see
it.
it.
But then,
Like-
but then it's not in,
Yeah,
and it's so much scarier.
yeah. Don't say
I
anything else.
love
Yeah.
the Warren story. I actually, and I know it's been overdone, but I love these two actors playing the Warrens because I actually love stories of the Warrens being out there, because they were a real couple who investigated all this weird shit. They were real people. It's I'm sure a lot of these events are obviously hyper fictionalized, but they are based on things the Warrens did. So, whatever. But I appreciate the actors coming back and doing these movies to keep a consistency in this universe. I like that kind of stuff because I'm weird. But I thought it was cool that they did that.
Well, if you ever
You can look up their website. Ed and Betty Warren. There's actually a website that details all the cases they worked on, all the artifacts they have, all that stuff. They existed.
Well, if you ever listen to interviews with the Warrens, I think she's dead now too, or
Yeah, she is. She's
like read the actual stuff they wrote. Obviously, in the movie, they way overplay the events, just like in The Exorcist with the spinning heads and all that. And I'm not traipsing on people's beliefs or saying something is real or not real, but at the very least, there are a lot of psychologically troubled people that, to some degree or another, they helped. And I can tell you from personal experience, having dealt with mental illness all my life, there were times in the dark days of the past when I almost thought something was possessing me because it's how not me it was in the fits of mental illness. And I got psychiatric help, but I could see people needing something, so right there. If you watch this film and get to that scene, it's one of the most perfect horror movie sequences you'll ever see.
Because it's the tension. The tension, they use that so well in this. Because it's not the jump scare, although they have that, of course, and they utilize it actually very well in this movie. It's the tension building up to it. You are on. They talk about edge of your seat kind of things. This is an edge of your seat horror movie, and I had a hard time sleeping after this movie because I just like when I was 3 years old, I knew there was something in the dark.
How
This
long
movie
ago
did
was
to
that?
me again.
I had a hard time
thanks.
sleeping, but I was so enthused. I was like,
Ugh.
yes, a great
I
horror
was
film.
creeped out
Finally.
as all fuck from this thing, man. Yeah. Ugh. Not HBO Max. That doesn't scare me so much.
100
the
years
Warrens-
ago, when you were 3 years old,
I was there 3,000 years ago. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. There's so much in this movie. So I'm going to pull it down next. I'm going to start getting into probably more spoiler territory, but that's a great choice, dude. That was one of my honorable mentions for like modern horror movies that were actually good, because most of them are not. This one really, right to the giblies.
Well, I'll be blunt. In the pure sense of scaring me, like I'm going to go, that type of thing, very little hits me like that,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yes, Salty and I are two brothers from a bygone era. We remember when Sodom and Gomorrah was turned to salt. We were running the other direction.
No, it was just Lot's wife that was turned into salt. I thought her.
get your
But she was
stories right,
delicious,
Roman.
by the way.
You
Scrape a
were
little
there.
bit off onto a burger.
yes, that's
Fantastic.
correct. What happened to Sodom and Gomorrah was quite a bit worse than being turned to salt.
Yeah.
So let's. I pulled that
Moving
one down.
along.
So, the Nerdporeal gross out. Let's go with you again, and then we'll jump to the regular team.
I was thinking. I mean, I have a guilty pleasure. I like Friday 13th.
Oh,
but
go for it.
I mean, I feel like I should bring up this movie that I don't think a lot of
Nothing
people
wrong
have
with
seen.
that.
Even better. Let's
There's
get
a movie
weird.
Came out. There's another movie came out in 1960. It's called Peeping Tom.
Uh-oh. Is this based on the As comic book?
Are we about to get canceled?
No.
Should this be on Roman's OnlyFans page instead?
It's onlyromans.com.
Not going to my OnlyFans page. And you all have that address. It is in the description of the show in case you want to go there.
Nice. Everybody's running to the descriptions right now.
Yeah, I know. It's not actually that's a joke. Please don't. Well, you can go to the description. Please don't go there for my own.
Well, it's been good talking to everybody. I gotta go.
Remember, I've got big green boobs in one of the pictures that are earlier in the show. So great.
It's about a killer photographer who basically he takes pictures of women and then he kills them. He has a little knife thing that comes out of his camera and he kills them and he looks at them and he takes pictures as they die, as they scream.
Oh my God.
It's a weird idea. It's a long movie. This movie and Psycho came out roughly the same time, the same year. And you there's a debate on which movie really started the slasher genre first or inspired the slasher genre first. So, but this one has some of the creepiest images. Like I used an image for my serial horror chats last year. There's a moment where you see an eye just open wide open. And whenever I see eyes wide open like that, it's just some of the creepiest stuff ever. So if you see like a guy in a burlap sack and he has like these big, then he keeps his eyes up like this. It's one of the scariest things ever. I don't know what it is about people in masks, but you can see their eyes and their eyes like don't blink at all. But yeah, you see that like he has the dagger sticking out of the camera.
Yep. Oh my Lord. I love you, but I must kill you.
Something like that.
That dude is creepy looking just on his own. That face is not a face that it lends itself to trust, I think.
No, but like he was he did his thing. This character is actually like someone who's trying to be his friend, trying to understand him, and she kind of
poor redheaded lady.
Yeah, he's German, but this takes place in Britain. And yeah, he's taking pictures of, in the naughty business, maybe, as you say it. And that's where he gets a lot of his victims. And he works in the movie industry. It's an interesting picture. It's not like there's barely any blood, but it's all psychological.
Right. Man, that's a creepy concept.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible yet hilarious.
Well played, Salty.
Our friend Salty. Well, she doesn't look happy to be there.
For those of us that live in California, it's not as funny.
No, it's far less funny.
Yeah, I have to go watch this. I recognize the actor.
That's another good deep dive, man. That's cool. I mean, you brought us two weird Eyes Without a Face, which was. That looks creepy as all hell, and now this one. So thanks for those disturbing images.
Thanks for the nightmares.
If I recognize the actor. If you remember, there's a 1960s fantasy film, The Adventures of the Brothers Grimm, which some people might have seen. The dude who plays the killer or whatever here, he plays one of the Brothers Grimm in that film.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's interesting. Weird. All of this is weird. All right.
Not as weird as She-Hulk, whatever you want to call
it. Do we need to pull that up again?
Please don't.
We'll have a real life horror film as Roman goes over to John.
We're having a real life horror film. I always feel like every time I come on the air with you guys, it's a real life horror film. Nice. That's another Peeping Tom and Eyes Without a Face. So we're going deep dive to 1960.
Are you regretting inviting me on with all these weird recommendations?
No, not at all. No, because this is the kind of stuff that I like. Like I said, I had two weird TV. I mean, people have seen Salem's Lot, but it's 1970, horror movies that were made for TV that I think are better than most of the products that Hollywood has put out as far as kind of the deep scare stuff. But whatever. I'm just a weirdo in my garage. I know very little.
It's true.
But so, man, that's the deep dive horror classic stuff. I wonder, are these available on Amazon and stuff? I hope somewhere we can find these movies. I bet.
Oh yeah, easily.
Or just ask me. I probably have them somewhere on my personal Netflix. So.
And that's also true.
Yeah.
So Matt and the Vault. So Steven, I think you're next in the lineup. What do you got?
I'm trying to figure out whether or not to bring up Sixth Sense or Jacob's Ladder, but they're both basically
Didn't we talk about? Oh, that was before.
they both basically revolve around a fear that I have, a psychological. It's more of it's almost an existential crisis that I've got, and that's this notion of not knowing if you're dead. And Sixth Sense and Jacob's Ladder both get into this very, very deeply, and this notion of how would you know, and are there earmarks in your life that could tell you that you might very well be just a spirit living on this plane? So Sixth Sense really creeped me out, in not in a terrifying way. I don't think I really get scared by films anymore. I mean, it's more of like a creep that comes in a little bit, a chill, but that's about it. But this idea of a deep terror that you're not really sure what's going on anymore. How would you know? I mean, Bruce Willis's character is in a position where it's crazy at the end that he discovers, and in Jacob's Ladder, the same thing, where he's living in a split second in Jacob's Ladder.
Well, there's
I think that was more disturbing for me was Jacob's Ladder. Sixth Sense, it was more of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob's Ladder, it was more disturbing
to
find out that where we were from when that happened. That was more impactful in a weird way. And like I said, Sixth Sense was more like, oh shit, I should have seen that coming.
And just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, I've been tracking this number 47 in my life. And I know several people have told me that the number 47 is relative to the concept of angels, right? So when I heard that, I started putting more eyes on this idea. And I'm watching The Sixth Sense this morning on a reaction channel. And that's why I posted my tweet earlier today. Bruce Willis's character and his wife live at 47 Locust Street. And I was just like, well, hold on a second here. Thanks. I didn't really need that today, but I guess I'm going to have to live with this idea. This number continuously pops up in cinema, and it always earmarks either what's about to happen, the theme of the film, or an important plot device. For example, in Die Hard, the one where the guys computer hack the U.S. government.
Oh God, yeah.
Die Hard 4, right?
Yeah.
The vehicle that they're driving around in the end, the tractor trailer truck with all their hacking equipment on board, is 047. That's the number on the truck. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. And it's all over the place. The license plate that delivers Dale Arden to the airport, 1047 is the license plate number. And I know there's coincidence to it, but I've been tracking this and I have hundreds of photographs on the subject. It's a little uncanny.
I mean, writers know a lot of this stuff.
Of course.
And that's the thing. You incorporate weird things in your writing that you think are even just kind of deep divey shit. Like when they built cathedrals back in the day, when actual artisans were building cathedrals, they would put things in places they knew no one would ever see that were absolutely beautiful because they could. So writers will do the same thing. They will incorporate something into their writing they know no one is going to get, or maybe that many people are going to get because they know it. And they just kind of work that clever thing in. And if no one ever knows what it is, fine. They still know what it is, and it's out there.
Yeah, another example of the number appearing is in It's a Wonderful Life. The number of the store on the storefront of where George goes to buy the luggage he'll never use because he cannot escape his life in that town is 147. So it's just odd that it appears throughout the entire history of cinema in these places where it earmarks the plot. So just a little thing. just a little. This is the kind of things that I find creepy. Are these teensy weensy little chestnuts that are throughout interesting intellectual movies.
That's one of the core elements of Lovecraftian horror. That there's aspects of things that you don't notice or understand that are you can't necessarily comprehend or you don't want to comprehend and so forth, you know?
Yeah, and they become almost like an earworm. I think that's the definition of what an earworm is, that it's slowly burrowing in and you're not even sure where it came from. And
I do want to give the scientific warning that statistics can be used to prove anything.
Yes.
The fact that statistics can't prove anything at all.
Right, which is why I'm deeply cautious about even mentioning it here.
No, talking about it's fine. It's just when you go into perspective with stuff, like, you know, we'll talk about it on my show because we can go on for like an hour about it. It's a cool concept, you know? Yeah. I don't want to derail this with, cool stuff.
Here, Salty is pointing out that they were talking about M. Night Shyamalan movies in the chat and says he likes The Village. Don't trust him. I said, well, Salty, I'm right there with you. I was one of the few that I feel like I was one of the few that also really liked The Village.
I liked Lady in the Water, but
I didn't like that one.
But I got what he was doing. I got what he was doing in that film. Because I read a lot of like mythology and folklore. That was a film about folklore. It wasn't about, if you understood the folklore he was doing, you got the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why there was no big reveal in the end, because I had quite literally seen the same story play out in a dozen different animes, because that's how a lot of these old ancient villages ran operations. They would have a terrifying monster in the woods so that little boys and girls would not leave the village. Period.
Which anime?
Oh, I'm just trying to think of. I think
the
best, most perfect example of it is the old priests in Pompaku.
Well, I have no idea what words you just made up right now.
Exactly. It's an anime reference from an old Ghibli film, but it's a trope in old village kind of operations that some of the higher guys would go into the woods and scare people away from proceeding further than their borders.
Kind of like the Rings of Power is trying to do with the fantasy genre.
Basically, yeah.
Wait a minute. That's the greatest show ever.
I'm sorry. Boy. I'm sorry. I don't want to put my toes in your territory.
Rings of Power is the best.
It's been great talking, everybody. Have a good night.
Team Sauron had some words for you, boy.
Hey, did I tell you that I might be Sauron? You might be Sauron. Roman might be.
I've heard that
Sauron.
Actually.
Collar. Heck, even Matt might be Sauron. I'm sorry.
I'd be cool to be Sauron. I'm on Team Sauron to begin with.
Everybody might be Sauron. That's the beauty of this show.
As much as I don't think Sauron has been my favorite character in Lord of the Rings since I was 5 years old. So, you know,
Roman's gonna Hulk out right now.
I'm Ben right here. Salty Texas C is Sauron.
Nice.
Roman's gonna Hulk out.
Briefly to something someone said in the chat. Stir of Echoes with what's his face, Kevin Bacon. Just like 30 Days of Night, what to me the actors sold that movie. Stir of Echoes. Kevin Bacon, like the movie's good overall, but Kevin Bacon's manic descent in that film, like, you know, sold it to me. You know, so there you go.
I liked that one. Stir of Echoes was a decent movie. Yeah.
And it's another example.
I enjoy Kevin Bacon
using the music
in a lot of things
correctly.
Go ahead, John. What's your second pick?
Oh, my second pick. Let's see. Because I kind of had like two different lists of like what do I like watching and what would actually really scare the piss out of me. So I'm actually with one that really creeped me out, which is maybe a little more of a recent pick, but also maybe more of a deep dive, is a movie called An American Haunting with what's the guy's name? I'm totally drawing a blank here right now. That one old guy from the one movie.
Not me.
Donald Sutherland?
No, not you, John.
Donald Sutherland. Roman. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Not Roman.
Haunting.
Not Roman.
Yeah, I kind of remember
that old guy. You just break it down when you start talking about old guys, buddy.
You know,
are you talking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
I'm talking about grumpy old men. I'm not talking about Roman. An American Haunting with Donald Sutherland. This was an interesting. It first of all, in many ways, I felt like it was still a pretty creepy movie because it was another sort of like paranormal, like there's a ghost in the house or whatever. But overall, like it was a really interesting story. I thought there was a pretty interesting reveal at the end. And it more recent, like in the 2000s, like mid 2000s, I think. But it's sort of like turn of the century, old timey, like period film. Got Sissy Spacek there as well.
It was either the year I broke my leg or the year after I broke my leg that it came out. That's how I kind of remember the movie. So.
But yeah, it was sort of a kind of a creepy movie, but sort of an interesting story, interesting twist, interesting reveal. But it still has that paranormal aspect that just gets under my skin, that creeps me out. Has anyone else ever seen this one? Is anyone familiar?
I don't think I've seen this one.
It has a very I guess you would say dark topic. It deals with child inappropriate touching abuse.
Yeah. There was definitely a dark, very dark and twisty aspect to it.
Are you guys familiar with the story of the Bell Witch?
No.
Anybody ever read about that?
Mm-mm.
It's like an old New England legend. There's a cave where supposedly the Bell Witch dwelt, and a farm was built around that cave, and everybody who ever owned or operated that farm met a terrible end.
Oh, that's a common sort of like folklore thingy, you know.
No, but if you look up the Bell Witch, if you type up the Bell Witch now on your interwebs, you will find a whole lore on the Bell Witch.
Sounds very familiar.
And that story scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Just absolutely scared the shit out of me.
So Jacob Ironside wants to know, Roman, if you live close enough to come and check under my bed for me.
I suppose in the most technical sense, yes.
He does. Yes, actually he does. Mm-hmm.
It's not like I can just walk over and do it. Or can I? And
Salty, I don't know what to do with that comment.
Oh, Salty gets it. No, not that one.
That's Salty's of Kevin Bacon.
This one. Fuck off.
I thought the other one was funnier, but all right. This is what happens when you give me control over the stream.
I know. I'm
going to pull that Hulk meme up again.
I know. You missed it. Actually, I was doing the Hulk out thing. I thought you were going to go there, but you didn't.
I thought we'd kind of.
I'm a little disappointed in your.
It was a little bit of a threat, but I thought it'd run its course.
All right, fair enough. Anyway, so back to your witchy movie, or your scary movie, or that's
back to your witchy movie, your Bell Witch.
You're a witchy movie. About.
Oh man.
So if you don't remember, the story basically is something like the girl goes back to the town or something like that, and childhood memories of sexual, we talked about, and then there's the creepiest. I don't remember enough to tell you the whole plot line, but
I don't remember this movie.
I remember it, of course, of the broken leg and Donald Sutherland, but had some very creepy imagery as well. Like you see the cover shot there, but that's
good. That's good shit.
That structural imagery carries through to the film. It's not just a bait and switch cover.
That's a weird one.
Yeah,
it's weird, but I love it because it's weird. And that's
I'm glad someone else chimed in because my earbud just died during that conversation. I thought just everyone stopped talking awkwardly for a second.
I just Googled it, Roman.
Go ahead.
I just Googled it. It is actually based on a book called The Bell Witch: An American Haunting by Brent Monahan.
Boom. It's like I was reading your mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting because, the Bell Witch was like a no shit supernatural phenomenon. At least it seemed to be, based on everything that happened. But so you could build a story around that with these events, though. You can see how they could do that. That makes... clever.
I have a very interesting alternate take on what's going on with that cave, but probably for another time.
Oh my. You're Salty again. Look, no baby. Oh my. Okay, that even got weird. All right. So
the Roman fan.
You lost track.
Your third film.
Well, on
Where
third
are we in
film,
the cycle
Roman.
of things? I don't
I think
have
we're
a
on
third
3.
film anymore because John fucked that up. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Blame it on the children. Nice.
he did. He did.
Always
and it's
good.
fine because we're gonna run a little long with this anyway, which is fine. But I felt like I lost on this.
Because
so
I
we
stole
go back
your
to
third
the
choice.
Nerdporeal gross out for your next film, buddy. What other weird stuff are you going to pull out of that basket for us?
Okay, well, I got
Basket
some
case?
I want to show off some of my physical media, so I got this right here, the Friday 13th.
So hang on,
edition.
let me blow you up there, buddy. Actually,
Oh,
no,
save that clip.
oh yeah.
Nice.
This is some great art right here, and of course these are out here, all the Blu-rays.
Yep.
Oh, it's all of them. You got Jason X in there where he goes to space.
Yep. And
Oh,
he
hell
smashes
yeah.
the
I
girl's
like
face
that one.
in the
No one
nitrogen.
else does, but I still like that one.
Yep. I love all those movies, all of them. It's like
Yeah, I like this series more than the Halloween series as a whole. I mean, nothing tops the original John Carpenter film by a mile, but I like this series. The series is fun to watch and everything. So that's why I bought this. And of
you
course,
can always throw one of them in there and just watch it and just enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I'm sure you guys all know this movie.
Woo!
Mhm. Yep. Boing.
A lot of people. This is going
one
to
of
sound
my
blasphemous, but this is not my number one movie. I love this movie, but it's not my number one movie.
Like ever or horror?
I'm sorry?
Like ever or horror?
Oh, for horror. For horror.
Oh no,
yeah.
I would agree with that. I like it for the sci-fi elements.
Yeah, same here. I love the original too, the 1951 Thing from
that's
Another
a
World.
funny
That's
topic.
another great one too. And of course, everybody knows this movie.
Yes.
I like how they bring. You have to.
It makes Jack a dull boy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I have a copy of this, Eyes Without a Face.
Oh Lord, you
It's
have a physical
Criterion.
copy in your house. Do you keep it in the freezer? Because that's
Keep it right there. And you know what? That shelf is actually my banner and my channel. So
You can get a big poster for that wall back there. The big overhead space behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, my number one movie is this.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
The
Shout
original
Factory version.
Yep.
And which I
Very
still
nice.
I still haven't opened it yet, so probably should.
Very
What?
nice.
I actually did a watch party yesterday with Dempsey in the chat. We were watching. I was watching my digital copy.
Halloween is one of the great scary.
Yeah.
The original Halloween is one of the great scary movies.
Yep.
It unnerves me to this day. I mean, I've seen it so many times, so it doesn't have that same effect, but it's so familiar to me.
What is your favorite scary scene from that movie?
Just when Myers is stalking Annie, she goes out, she spills butter on her clothes, so she strips completely naked. And he's watching her, and he gets aroused to the point where he knocks down the potted plant that's hanging there. And then of course the dog comes out and confronts Myers, and he kills the dog just like Jaws kills the shark, and Jaws kills a dog. So there's a lot of comparisons to Jaws, like the whole Blackest Eyes thing, where Donald Pleasance is doing that little monologue where he's basically setting up Michael Myers to be this inhuman thing, this inhuman monster. That was a great scene. And then right after that, you one of the window things collapses and it breaks the glass, and it just scared the crap out of me when I first saw that. And of course, it scared Dr. Loomis because he took out his pistol right away. But
one of the scariest scenes for me in this was the asylum scene. When they went up to the asylum originally, and all the lunatics are just kind of roaming free. And then Michael comes on, he gets on top of the car, and he slaps his hand down on the window, and it shatters.
And Dempsey pointed this out to me. If you pause at that moment, there's a wrench in the palm of Nick Castle's hand. Or whoever did that effect. Maybe it was Tommy Lee Wallace.
Really?
So you could see a wrench. Like it was hanging in from his sleeve. So if you pause it at the moment where you see the hand on the glass, you could see the wrench. Like, he showed it to me yesterday. And I was like, "Holy crap! I've never noticed this."
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
this is the only way they could break the window, and back then they didn't foresee people being able to pause movies on DVDs and stuff.
We're all friends. We all die.
But yeah, the
Hey,
scariest part.
Dr.
Yeah, there's the castle. But I'll say the true scariest part is when Lori goes in there, and what's weird is the audience knows that she shouldn't go in there, but she goes in there anyways, and she gets in there. It's completely silent until she goes up the stairs. Then you hear that creepy, Myers house music, and then she walks
John
in.
Carpenter's theme for this was just exceptional.
Yes.
He really had a talent for his music. And he still does. He goes on tour with this stuff.
He still does music for stuff.
He does
the music for that Christine remake they did.
He is the current Halloween films. He's did all the music for all 3 movies. I just saw Halloween Ends, and this was the one time I was actually kind of disappointed with the soundtrack, because the last movie, Halloween Kills, he did such a great job.
Yes.
This part right here.
Boobs and a phone. What? What's behind her? Oh, stop joking. You're so funny. Ah. You're not so funny now, are you?
Oh, that got weird.
Again?
Same girl or different girl? Dead girl? They're
Not
all,
same
they all
girl.
end up just
Same
dead
girl.
girls except for Lori.
It's BJ Souls. She was coming right off of Carrie.
She was also in Rock and Roll High School, oddly enough.
Oh, I never saw that.
For those of you that remember a Ramones movie made back then.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got a poll
popcorn
here.
and death.
Jamie Lee Curtis or Heather Langenkamp? For those of you who are not familiar, Heather Langenkamp was the final girl in Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger.
Well, personally,
I love Donald Pleasance so much in this.
But,
he was just great.
He did all of his stuff in 1 week. He got paid $20,000 for 1 week's of work.
Wow,
Nice.
that actually seems kind of minor back. Get really considering.
Yeah,
you must catch my patient. He was my patient for 20 years, but you must kill him.
I shot him 6 times. He's not human. Like that. He's in part 2. He's batshit crazy.
He is. He's also batshit crazy.
Well, there's I remember something like this is going to be a work for hire film just to make a paycheck for him. But they say, I want total control, and he turned it into what it was, something like that with him getting this film,
Yeah, he wanted total control, and he specifically said he wanted his name before the title of the movie, kind of like how Alfred Hitchcock did that. Well, he wanted the same thing for this, and they're like, sure.
And admittedly, Jamie Lee Curtis was absolutely cute in this movie.
Oh yeah,
she's a beautiful woman. No doubt about
and she's
that.
like 73 now. She's ancient. She's even older than I am.
She's like, I think she's like 63. Like
no. She's got is she 63 or
yeah, she was 19. She was only 19 when they were making this movie.
I feel like she looks older than she is at this.
This is funny because he's like, so what do you want on your pizza?
This is the first time in the movie, believe it or not, that we actually see his full face up close like this. Every other time you either see him from the neck down or he's far away, or like he's really far away.
Jamie Lee Curtis is 63 years old, but she kind of starting to look like the Crypt Keeper.
Oh, wow. That's harsh.
Don't you badmouth Jamie Lee Curtis or her weird dog.
Hey, don't insult the Crypt Keeper. He keeps himself in good shape.
Don't insult the Crypt Keeper. Michael, you were my patient for 20 years and I love you, but I have to shoot you now.
You are my brother. I love you.
I have the high ground, Michael. Don't, Michael. I have the high ground.
Actually, Michael had the high ground and he won in that scene. There he is.
Yeah, this part was actually pretty scary. Like she was still in the house when he busts into the door and comes in with the knife. Then she breaks the glass and then she runs out. He's like practically right behind her, but because she's running in the neighborhood of Illinois, everybody's a dick, but it's true. Everybody in Illinois is a dick. I know. I'm one of them.
I've not been, but I can only imagine. Oh, remember what movie they were watching in this?
Yeah, The Thing from Another World
Thing!
and
The
Forbidden
kids are
Planet.
watching the 1951 version of The Thing.
Nice.
He used the creepy like first person view of going up the stairs. I think Carpenter borrowed that idea from Forbidden Planet, where the beast or the id monster sneaks into the C-57D ship. Same idea. And I point this all on I may or may not have done a retrospective on Forbidden Planet.
I love Forbidden Planet. I think it is one of the most amazingly shot films for the time and genre, because usually those came off as really just hokey, wonky things, and that never did, even with Leslie Nielsen in it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I didn't see it till like a few years ago. So I'm like, holy crap! Star Trek stole so much from this. Stole so much from that movie.
Yeah.
Through that.
Yep.
Halloween is one of the just kings of the genre. Hey, baby. But the problem is Michael's on the other end of the phone trying to get her pizza order, but it never works out. That's why he was so mad. Oh God, when he was talking to the kid at the school, there were just so many. Oh my God, there are so many good scenes in this movie, dude. We could just talk about Halloween and Halloween 2, not so much Halloween 3, definitely not 4, 5, and 6. We could maybe get into the later ones, but that may be the theme of the next show. But the shots in this were just so good. John Carpenter, when he was on, he was just freaking on. And he wasn't always, though. Sometimes John Carpenter would be like way over here, and you're like, oh, dude. But he had several great films. The Assault on Precinct 13 is a really good movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it is. It borrowed, Halloween he borrowed elements from that movie into Halloween. Like, especially there's one shot in particular that stood out to me. You know how when Loomis goes out, he shoots Michael Myers off the balcony and he lands on the lawn. And when Loomis goes out to the lawn, he sees nothing there. There was a similar type of sequence, a similar type of shot in Assault on Precinct 13. Same idea. They shoot a guy and the guy vanishes, or they knock someone out and he vanishes.
Carpenter
or there was a body there and it
playbook,
vanished.
He's like an NFL coach. He has a successful playbook, and you see the same good technique over and over again in his movies. Like Prince of Darkness, talked about before. You see constantly people disappearing and reappearing as a horror element.
Yeah, when people go bad and they get creepy like Michael Myers, they either stand motionless like Michael Myers, or they'll get into the camera, like to the side of the camera, watching whoever it is, just like Michael Myers did or The Shape did in the original film.
Here's a little thing that you'll note if you watch his films again. All the Michael Myers types, the ones who go bad, like he said, they never have their head at a proper human angle. It's always slightly off, uncomfortable looking.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. When you watch Michael, how his neck, it looks like if you put your neck like that for 12 hours a day, it will be uncomfortable.
He looks like a dog. He's like a dog looking at his, kill whatever.
It's that predatory look that animals have.
That shot is again
how they kind of move
terrifying
a little bit to the side sometimes.
Yeah, they used the light. They used Dean Cundy used a strobe light or something to capture this effect. Because, geez, I mean, like, wow, like it's one of the creepiest things.
Is all hell.
Yes.
Just that little bit of light to capture the white of the mask. Zoinks.
Okay, I got to ask you guys this question. I had this conversation yesterday. Do you think, and another stream was talking about this, do you think he intentionally hit her in the arm so that he could chase her and do that, or do you think he missed her?
I think that the way he portrayed it, and only are we talking just that film or counting the sequels?
No, just this. Someone in another stream said he intentionally wanted to kill her, hit her in the back with the knife, but she moved and it hit her in the arm instead. Yes. I've watched this movie so many times. I've never seen any evidence of that. It's always him doing this and it just hits her in the arm. And I think that was intentional.
I could see that taking only the first film into account. You know what I mean? Like when you get the story from the second and the fourth films in particular, how it's really a sort of revenge. Like he wants revenge on her, but for no legitimate reason. You know what I mean?
This, I think he was just trying to recreate his original murder.
Yeah,
but he wanted to make it better. He wanted to make it more.
Yeah, here in the
I
first
guess.
He wanted the challenge of the hunt.
Yeah, he's a serial killer, like a standard serial killer in the first film. But when you get the backstory from the later films of the damage that was done to him and all that, then you kind of
that was
done. Well, you need him to be a soulless body hunting and killing. That's what he is.
Qualifying. You have to sort of give both answers, because if you give one, then you're not respecting like there's a totality to it. To me, you got to explore.
To me, there are basically two Halloween movies. There is number 1 and number 2. Now, I don't mind the later trilogy. I think it's fun to watch, but number 1 and number 2 are to me the really the only legitimate Halloween films. And you didn't get any of the weird backstory because you didn't need any of the weird backstory. Michael Myers just being a basically evil killing machine was quite enough. And that's what the poor doc was trying to get across, as he kept shouting, I've been your doctor for 20 years, but I have to kill you. He was right, because it's evil. It's just evil. And he wasn't wrong.
The blackest eyes.
And I like
the devil's eyes.
So those are my Halloween films I enjoyed a lot.
I know number 2 introduced the fact that Laurie was Michael Myers' sister. So in that movie, it basically establishes that he wants to kill everyone in his family. So that's why they had to give him a reason to go back after Laurie. And so that's what Carpenter came up with. And he hated him. He hated himself for writing that, he
didn't direct that movie. That was another director for number 2.
They had originally had Tommy Lee Wallace, but he didn't. The fact that the producer was Dino De Laurentiis, and Dino De Laurentiis, that just crazy Italian producer, just wanted blood and guts and gore and everything. And Tommy Lee Wallace, who did the production design of this movie, and he was in a few scenes in the Myers mask, especially all the stuff where he has to pound into the closet or the door. He did not like the idea of doing the blood, of making this an exploitational, grotesque, gross out type of movie, Halloween 2. So they got another director, Rick Rosenthal, to take over. But Carpenter wrote Halloween 2 late at night, drinking a lot of Budweiser. I know, because he said it. And a Spanish commercial recreated that. Recreated him writing the movie and everything, and it was a Budweiser commercial, believe it or not. So,
well, the best part of Halloween 2 is Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, it's true. This movie, Halloween 1, though, the reason why he went after Laurie is because she dropped the keys off at the Myers house. She was the first person he saw, and that's when he just locked onto her. Stalked her when she was at school. Yeah. Stalked her when she was going home. Even stalked Tommy because he saw Tommy too. I think. Yeah, he did see Tommy too.
Yeah.
And and then he just followed her. He crept around, waited for her to go to the babysitter thing. He followed her there, and then just stalked her. So,
hey.
This is where I first saw The Thing title, and I first heard of Forbidden Planet was watching this movie.
Oh, that scene. When the kids are picking on him and he runs away, and then he runs into him.
Yeah. I think that's
I'm the only person who never had that 70s haircut.
I absolutely had that 70s haircut.
That was not something tolerated in the family. Your hair did not go below your ears.
I see. Okay, military background.
No, it wasn't a military issue. It was just weird. Like, if you were a guy in my family, like, it could have been from that, but like, if you came home with your hair below it, like down to here, your grandma was coming with the razor. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think
2 people have done 3 so far. That I believe, right? 2 of you have done 3.
Well, I gotta take off in a few minutes, so why don't I throw out my last one real quick? And then...
Okay, got it.
So I guess I don't necessarily know if it qualifies as a scary movie, but it definitely kept me out of the ocean. Jaws.
Mm.
Oh,
I think
goddamn Jaws.
I think I saw Jaws at like way too young of an age, and I already sort of hinted at it a little bit earlier, where it's another one of those movies where you're scared more by how much you don't see until the last reel, where you finally do see the shark, and then we're going to need a bigger boat and the whole thing. But that one, like I've lived in San Diego my whole life, born and raised, lived here. I could not tell you the last time I set foot in the ocean. I don't like the ocean. I don't like the beach. I don't like open water. And I think this movie might be why.
Oh, I mean, I actually hate the water because of Jaws. It fucked me up for pools. It fucked me up for pools.
The shark had the blackest of eyes in this movie too.
Yes. Yep.
I wonder where I've heard. Didn't they say that in another movie that we just talked about? Of course they did.
You go in
No,
the cage.
he says it in this movie.
Cage goes in the water.
He's talking
Sharks in the
about
water.
the shark attack with the
USS Indianapolis.
Yeah, with the Indianapolis, and he was talking about those soulless black eyes, and there's nothing.
So you kind of wonder what John Carpenter was watching when he was writing Halloween.
But
well, again, I will bring up this concept of the black almond-shaped eyes of our alien friends again. And there is something to that, whether or not that whole phenomena is even a real thing. The idea that it's imagined that that's what they look like, I think, is really the most important part of the aesthetic of the alien, is that they have these not watching you, and yet they're staring at you, soulless black eyes. Clinical, like a flashlight, like a turned off flashlight, just some sort of lens just gaping at you, and you have no idea what it's actually thinking because there's no eyes, but there's eyes.
Yeah, so this movie, I mean, I absolutely love it. I know Nerdporeal, I know you were doing a stream on it on Monday that I jumped in there for a little bit too. It's a great movie and I love rewatching it. But if I'm gonna pull up another movie that's just like scared the pants off of me, this is probably it, because I saw it when I was really, really young. And yeah.
I like that how that one shot was like for that one picture just before we see Quint with the big jawbone. The big jaws, the jawbone right there. Was it foreshadowing? Just like they did a similar shot in the movie with the jawbone and the boat right there.
Yeah.
And this movie was crazy. Like this movie, like they took out a kid and a dog in the same scene.
Yes,
that's something that's something you just didn't do in horror movies, especially back then. Like you let the kids and the animals live, take out all the adults, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, that was a major setup for this. This shark is no joke, and I love how like Roy Scheider keeps asking, when are we going to get a bigger boat? When are we going to get a bigger boat? There's literally a point where they cut him off. The scene cuts him off when he's asking that too.
Yep. Yeah.
It
fades him out.
They do something.
Well, what's interesting too is I read not that long ago that they actually originally had a much more bleak ending planned for the movie. So that scene where like the shark's chewing on the tank, he shoots the tank, the shark blows up, the ship is, pretty much fully sunk there. Originally, they talked about having the camera pan back and show like a school of sharks circling around to kind of be like, okay, you killed the one big shark, but you're still going to die. And then they decided it's like, no, like maybe we should give it a little more of like a happy ending where they're like paddling back to shore. But
that would there were talks of for the 70s. 70s always never ended well for the protagonist.
At one point there was talk of doing that, of like, oh, it's like you killed the one big shark, but guess what? You're still going to die.
If you go through this, like, and watch all the scenes of the shark, you actually kind of change its size throughout it. There's one where he's swimming under the boat where he's at the same size or bigger than the boat.
He's massive.
Well,
like,
and I mean, the scene where he takes out the kid,
the
scene where he takes out the kid is in like knee deep water. So it's kind of like, okay, come on. Like,
we've all been there. Oh, poor Bluey girl.
And that's the thing too, is like the way the movie opens, like that's the opening scene, and it's just like,
It
okay,
is.
like we've just set the tone for the
Ding,
movie.
ding,
Like this is where we're
ding,
going
ding.
for it. Like,
And Jaws 2 was basically just Jaws again.
yeah, all the sequels were,
Well, I
Except
like
they were
Jaws
except they
too.
were teenagers to terrorize this
To
time.
eat instead, yeah.
Well, yeah, but
Jaws
Jaws
3 I
2
don't count, Jaws 4 I
tension.
don't
It didn't,
count.
like,
So
you know what I mean? It kept the tension of Jaws. You know what I mean? It didn't like it. Like they didn't just like drop the ball and it become a comedy or whatever.
well, and you also had still had Roy Scheider involved. Quint is dead, but Hoop was off on some expedition, so you couldn't get him in the movie.
and that's a trope, by the way. Roy Towns, he played the town sheriff, and in human lore, the town sheriff, the chief of he's your town protector. That's a very powerful historic trope for human, as that the guy who's got to. There's that one guy who protects the village, protects the town, puts his ass on the line all the time to do it, and he did it twice, and you know.
You want to know a fun fact? In the novel that Jaws is adapted from, Hooper actually had an affair with Brody's wife. So they hated each other on the trip.
Oh my God, really?
And but here's the even bigger. Here's the other difference. Hooper gets killed in the tank in the cage. Like the shark eats him. The shark doesn't eat Quint. The shark eats Hooper, but Quint dies like Captain Ahab. They kill the shark and he gets dragged under with the shark. That's how Quint dies in the book.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Yeah.
The other less horrible part of the book is that the mayor is actually under the thumb of a local mob boss, and that's why he's pushing for the beaches to open.
Yes.
Well, that's just true for the East Coast in the 70s, especially.
Yeah,
Hey!
That's normal.
Yeah,
Under the thumb, you know.
that was normal apparatus. You're right, but I mean, but it did. This movie, you want to talk about just scary? This movie ruined the water for me for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, there was no going to the beach, and I lived on Long Island, so this was really terrible. It's like, wait, this was filmed on Long Island? No way, I'm never going to the beach again.
Martha's Vineyard.
Ben Gardner.
Now, what ruined the beach for me was trying to learn how to swim and getting hit by a 15-foot wave.
That'll do it too. Yep.
It ruined the beach. It ruined other people trying to teach me how to swim. It ruined me on a cousin who was trying to help me how to swim. Like, oh no, we're with you. We can go out about 50 feet and you can swim in the water. It's only waist high. And I'm like, okay, it sounds like I trusted them. I was like 10. And I turned and there's a 15 fucking foot, what part of the expression? and they all ditched. They just ditched. And I was like,
that is uncool.
I mean, I beat some of them up later, but they just ditched.
This
All right, guys,
scene scared the shit out of me. You got to go, bud?
Yeah.
I gotta call it. I gotta eat dinner and get to bed. That
Night,
4 a.m.
night,
wake
John.
up call is coming fast.
I know you're the only riser of the bunch.
Yeah, I know. But good talking to everybody. Good to see you guys. Nerdporeal, welcome. Good talking to you finally on a stream, and see you guys again soon.
It's Horrorporeal, sir.
See you Monday, man.
Horrorporeal. I'm sorry, I got your pronouns wrong today. All right, guys. So have a good rest of your night. See ya.
Take care.
All right, buddy. Peace out.
Yeah, with you, Horrorporeal, it's more about what life form you are today.
Yeah, I'm the gross out.
So this scene on Ben Gardner's boat scared the shit out of me. When Hooper went down and he was kind of looking around and he pulled the tooth out of the side of the boat and then the body popped into frame. That was like a fuck for 6 to 7 year old me. It was like, okay, well, I'm never going in the water again. Cool.
Yeah, and we see how Richard Dreyfuss reacts. He just screams in the water and surfaces right away.
Yep.
I'll be honest, Ben Gardner, he was a real fisherman.
And just as an aside, Peter Benchley is all his books are like these sea monster-y type things, and if you love this stuff, just go read them.
But that's how Robert Shaw got it. That's how he developed his character, was through Gardner's fisherman character.
Oh, really?
Based off the actor, yeah.
Robert Shaw is easily my favorite character in the movie. I loved Quint.
especially when he destroys the radio.
Oh yeah, it just goes in like a lunatic.
And Roy
And
Scheider
beats the
starts
shit out of the
screaming at him.
radio.
He's just like, I don't care.
Ah,
Although, one more little follow up: the real life horror that this film dropped on us, the Indianapolis.
oh yeah, I'd never heard about it before. I've done a lot of reading about the USS
I mean,
Indianapolis.
Yeah, since that's what I was like. I asked my relatives, like, what was that about? Because they were all World War II people, and they explained it to me. And then I went and read about it and stuff. And hell, that could be a whole horror theme show,
That would
real
be
life
interesting.
horror, So
Yes, absolutely.
It's one of the, I mean, just that whole monologue from Quint, just talking about the Indianapolis. That's one of the times where tell not show actually is more effective. It's like one of the very few, because it was, good writing.
Well, it also just laid in this other layer of reality, like that historically really happened, and this guy was really there. So, okay, so this boat is really in the ocean for real, and the shark is really coming. You know what I mean? Like, because it was historically recorded that he was part of that. You know what I mean? Adding another layer of reality to an already very realistically done film.
And the John Williams score during that scene is just like this. Is just makes it even better. Just makes it so creepy, and just you feel you. It's like you're there almost, without showing anything.
John Williams, the king of the '70s for scores.
Oh, John Williams. I mean, he's in his 90s now.
Oh, yeah, he still did great work, but like the '80s is like Basil Pus. Can't pronounce his name. The guy who did the Conan theme. There's a couple other great ones that pop up in the '80s. Ennio Morricone from the '60s and all, but the '70s, the when you think of the scores from this, you're thinking of Jaws, Star Wars, Superman, and there's one guy with
Yeah, absolutely. Goodness. Yeah, fuck Jaws, man. Like I said, it screwed me up for a long time, and I'm still not good with the ocean. I used to do out and go on boards. And then one day, dolphins were around me. And I know they're fucking dolphins. I got that. But what it reminded me of is that there are bigger fish out in the sea. And so I paddled in and I never went out again.
Yeah, I had a moment as a very, very little kid in the New York Museum of Natural History where I was maybe 5, maybe 6 years old. And I come around the corner and there is elevated above the floor, hanging from the ceiling, a full scale blue whale, like not a blue whale, but a whale. And it was face on to the opening. And I don't know what happened at that moment, but I quite literally collapsed to the floor and couldn't move because it was just such an imposing mass of animal right there. And it was like I was in the ocean. It kind of freaked me. So Jaws just reinforced all of that. It's like the ocean is filled with some scary, okay, maybe they're friendly, who knows, but some terrifyingly large creatures.
Barracuda.
Anything in the water that is the same size or bigger than you. So salty orcas eat the hell out of sharks. I dig orcas. Yes, you don't really hear about orca on human attacks.
There is, but they don't unless they.
I had fins. I had fins.
Sealand or whatever.
I also had a heart attack. They were just bitch ass dolphins. It's true though. But the problem is it's a fucking fin while you're out there in the ocean, and it would just remind you of the other stuff. I know it sounds silly, but when you're not ready for dolphins and you're just out there waiting for the wave, and it's like, oh fuck.
Oh my God! I just got a very memeable video of the Monty Python skit of no one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition, but they're all dolphins. There's kind of a Douglas Adams crossover.
If you go search for it on YouTube, there's a video of this dude swimming. I think it's a dude. For like miles, like that's that person's daily swim or whatever. And this pod of orcas is surrounding this person, and they don't know why until they zoom out and they see there's a shark trying to get to the person, and the orcas protected the person from the shark. and no one knew till they zoomed out on the camera.
Context is everything. That's a meme for context is everything.
Not kidding. I wasn't kidding. Fish or other. Okay, fair enough. But like I said, you don't hear about orcas attacking humans. I mean, I'm sure there have been. I'm sure. I mean, everything in the ocean eats itself at some point. But yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard of an orca attack.
The only known examples of orcas attacking humans are either in like when they're in captivity, or when the humans attack them first.
Right, just like the family dog.
Yeah.
You don't go beating up the family dog; it might bite you right back.
I mean, it's provable that whales and dolphins, generally speaking, will actually help humans if they could.
Right. Okay.
And yet, I would bet that most people would be a little scared, or
I
at least
wouldn't want to
creeped out.
The orcas. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Until
another
something else
big
happens
toothy
that
fish.
convinces them. Yeah, they're gigantic fish. Yeah, they're huge. An orca is gigantic.
Matt, are we back to you right now?
It's either me. Well, okay.
You're
so
Nerdporeal, or did
we?
Nerdporeal
just
well.
I have a third.
Jaws was kind of my third one, but actually, I'd like to bring up something else.
Yeah, no, we're actually. I think we're at you, Matt. We're at
okay,
you.
so we'll go to me. So my third one, it actually kind of came up a reference to it in the chat came up before. So I was chatting about this actor. He has a habit of his films, especially in this time period, when they come in the U.S. having a different name. And in this case, they did it because 1932 Dracula was a popular film. So when Christopher Lee did Dracula and has a Hammer film, they call it Horror of Dracula here, which is what we know it as. To me, it's the best Dracula adaptation ever. And I mean, if you take Christopher Lee out and put anyone as Dracula, it'd still be a good movie. But Christopher Lee's portrayal of Dracula made him scary through pure acting ability.
Peter Cushing is in this as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were kind of like a duo.
This was in the era of Cushing and Lee being in a lot of films together, Hammer or not. And there was Lee played Dracula in such a way, like nowadays there's like vampires rip people in half, or they bite them and their blood flies all over the place, or they crawl up out of the earth and they're covered with pure acting and menacing. Like the scene when he stalks down the stairs in Horror of Dracula, and I don't know how to explain, like he's a predator walking through the room, and look like facial expressions, and part of it's because in real life Christopher Lee knew how to scare people because of his background,
right?
But
he really he did his research. He did not watch any Dracula movies before doing this one.
Yeah.
So
so
he only read the book. He actually read the Bram Stoker book and tried to basically be as true to the character in the book as he could. And that's hence this portrayal right here.
Yeah.
Who did Peter Cushing play in this?
Dr. Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Yeah. Was he Van Helsing? Okay, I'm sorry.
And
so in this movie, Harker is actually a colleague of Van Helsing, and instead of being a realtor like he is in the novel, he is a vampire hunter in this, and he tries to he attempted to kill Dracula, but he ended up staking the girl instead. So Dracula got the drop on him.
And there's 5 sequels, I believe, to this, most of which are pretty. I mean, generally speaking, Hammer horror films are excellent, so there's no way around it. You know what I mean? But
hey, it's Alfred.
Yeah, and for deeper reference on that, Matt, that 70s rock fan just did a huge Hammer retrospective. They went through the whole catalog. I think it's over 3 hours where the panel really get into it, and there's a bunch of YouTubers on there that you're familiar with, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just posted my 5 favorite Hammer horror films a couple of days ago. So,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and
tis the season.
It always goes back and forth with my favorite Hammer horror between this and another Christopher Lee one, The Devil Rides Out, which almost caused me rewatching it the other day to go spend $75 on books because of the basis of the Devil Rides Out character. But it's such, and there've been a lot of Dracula adaptations over the years. I'll link it to you guys after. I'll find it. Some guy did an analysis of all the Dracula films ever done, rating them on real, like how true adaptations they were and whatever. But this to me is the one. Yeah, Christopher Lee. I mean, I love the 30. Is it 32 or 34? The original one, the one with Lugosi.
Give me a sec.
It's got the Universal one basically. And then
31.
31. Okay, 31. And then there's a TV adaptation with Frank Langella, who sort of grew up in my neighborhood, by the way. And my parents, he's in my parents' generation, so they all knew him as a kid. But I mean, I can go on about Dracula too for such a, And then,
the trope of the vampire has really, I don't know, it's taken so many different steps along the way. I mean, certainly since the 60s and 70s, when it hit the 80s, it just blew up in like a million different directions at once, because we got Blade, we got Lost Boys, and then Anne Rice was writing her novels at the same time. So there was
Rice was what triggered it. I mean, she basically her take on the vampire, so to speak, triggered all of that. But we were talking before about Salem's Lot. The way vampires act in Salem's Lot is the way they act in folklore, in mid-Europe, Central European folklore, which is what we think of as a vampire.
Right. And even those vampires are based on even older legends that may or may not include blood as part of the whole thing.
Well, in Central European lore, vampires were dead werewolves. So when a werewolf died, it became a vampire. That's basically how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, I read a book about it. I would trace the myths and tales back to the year 700 or so. And vampires eventually split off as a concept from where vampires would rise from the dead and run with the werewolf pack, so to speak.
Right. That's why the old Dracula in the novel had the wolves at his beck and call.
Yep. Oh yeah, Bram Stoker researched all that stuff. From my understanding of it. So.
I would imagine so. It's mentioned in the book, just like a Stephen King novel, where he talks about what his research was, and Van Helsing goes even deeper.
Yeah.
Where he starts reading from the Bible and old Yiddish text and stuff like that.
Yeah. But just look at the imagery. I mean that's classic camera film imagery, right? You all recognize it if you see them. But
the
color
palette almost looks painted on, but I know it isn't.
Beautiful.
It was the color processing.
Yeah.
I love that look a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really nice. Hitchcock is a little more saturated than this is, because these are horror movies, of course. But Hitchcock has this same kind of color process look that I like. It almost looks colorized.
Like faded palette type of blending effect they're doing here, where you can see that. I like that. Nowadays they have this sort of what they I don't know what they did in Rings of Power, for example. That what did I call it? The drain.
God damn it.
The old, like they did in Man of Steel too. They made everything look darker and blended all grayscales and all that. I hate that. But back with Hitchcock and with when they used their sort of blending techniques with the coloring, it all looked better. You know what I mean? You could see it more clearly. Now they use these techniques and it makes it more bleh looking. So unless I can keep talking horror Dracula for the next couple hours, but Roman's got to get with his Roman fans channel. So,
Thomas just posted a link down for Untamed and Uncut Double Great White Attack. So that's some kind of that's shark stuff. So for those of you who enjoy the ocean, please don't look at Nas's link, but it is up in the chat now if you still enjoy swimming. I'll look it up because I no longer go in the ocean, so that's fine.
Nice.
All right, so
my last one, my third.
We're at you now. That's right.
This might seem a little off topic, but David Lynch's Eraserhead. I saw it in a private showing in a class for videography in the 80s. When it had come out, basically, my teacher had brought a print of it into school, and we watched it on the wall. And there is something about this film that is just, it just gets into your bones. There's just something so off about it. It's hard to explain. If you enjoyed anything in Twin Peaks, this is where most of that gets its origin, is in this movie. A lot of the vibe and camera work and odd characters, it all starts here, basically.
Yeah.
So it's unnerving.
It's unnerving.
Visually jarring.
It looks unnerving.
Infant he's taking
the visuals.
Visually jarring is the way he was going for. Lynch was going for with this film.
He has a child or an infant or a thing that he's taking care of, and the camera just sits on it breathing for the longest time, and it's so unnerving because it's never explained. It's basically a silent movie. So all of the imagery, your brain is just wrestling with what is going on. What is happening in this movie? It's so crazy. And it's so noir, so you really can't get a grasp of any kind of reality in it either. So, yeah, unnerving. If you're not looking for a horror film, if horror isn't your thing, you might want to try this for the holiday season.
Oh, there's the thing. I mean, so it's a 1977 film, which I think is interesting. It's not Young Frankenstein.
No. It's all in black and white, and it's primarily silent. I mean, there's a soundtrack, of course, but
that's just that. Like I said, I've never seen it myself, so I can't even comment on it. I only knew it existed. What the hell is he doing there?
like I said, it basically it's like the 80s MTV creep, the beginning of like that whole creepy, and it's not creepy, but it's creepy. I can't explain it.
Is there anybody in the movie that we would know, or is it all?
I don't think so. It's basically a college picture. This is David Lynch's THX 1138, basically. This is his earliest piece of deeply creative work.
And I've got nothing here. Oh Lord, because I've
See what I
never
mean?
seen it.
The imagery is just crazy.
Yes. I mean, even that, the brick wall outside the window is bothersome. It's bothersome to someone who has never lived in, that kind of cityscape. There's nothing outside the window.
I bet anybody who's into like 80s weirdness would watch this film and understand there's probably a dozen tropes invented in this film of 80s weirdness. For weirdness sake, like the whole 80s weirdness for weirdness sake thing. A lot of it comes from here. Just the strange hairstyles, the odd lighting, the jarring imagery changes.
I'll give you one actor you might know of. Okay. Did you ever see the movie Tremors?
Yes.
Do you remember Nancy, the artist, and her daughter?
Not off the top of my head. I don't think I ever saw the whole movie.
Nancy, the artist, was in Eraserhead as like one of the leads.
Okay. There you go.
That's the only one I remember. I know the actresses in both. I don't know more.
So if you add those numbers together, Stephen.
Yes, I know.
One, yeah, okay.
I know. I see exactly what you're talking about.
I saw that as soon as you. Then now I can't not see that, dude.
I have a whole system where like somebody would be like, "Oh, but that number doesn't add up to. It doesn't work as it's no 47." And I'm like, "Yes,
what
but the number 11 before the other one. Yeah, see what I mean? It's like what am I looking at?"
Like, well, that was Lynch's style. He was into like that surreal art style, visual garishness, and contrasting and all that.
Who is that? That's not Harry Dean Stanton, is it?
Like look at the pattern of the character's hair and look at the wallpaper behind them.
Yeah, like the wallpaper's peeling up, right? You see
Yeah.
that? You see how
No,
the
look-
wallpaper's
look- look at-
irregular?
Look at the images on the wallpaper and the way their hair is curled. That's like a surreal effect.
Yep.
And then in the foreground, you could even see some of the food on the table has that same sort of.
They're
curling
eating
pattern.
looked like pigeons, tiny birds.
Yeah, it's just it's uncanny. Your brain just keeps picking up stuff in the background, and you're like, oh my God, it's so distracting. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just bizarre.
And just odd framing. It's just chock full of it. It's just
Yeah, and like I said, I've never seen this. I think I need to have seen this. Oh, see,
there's a lot of creepy pasta in it. It's like it just gets under your skin and continues to get this baby. Like this thing is just breathing the whole time.
I don't want to look at that anymore.
Ugh, so disturbing.
There it is. There it is again. What the fuck are you eating? What is that?
I think the food actually moves at certain points in the film too. So it's like, it's really disturbing. Yeah. So that's my last one. That to me is true horror because it's like, I can't, my brain is just so terrified.
That was incredibly creepy. What about a Serbian?
Mr.
What?
Lynch. Yeah, Serbian film is one of those films that we need to be on Roman fans to talk about it.
Okay, fair enough. Got it. Okay, well, gosh, that was a lot.
The Serbian film makes the human centipede look tame.
Oh Lord, I'm gonna have to go take a shower after the stream tonight. Now, thank you, Stephen, for that, because we saw some weird shit, and actually, the Nerdporeal Gross Out brought us a couple of very bizarre films as well, with Eyes Without a Face and Peeping Tom. Halloween, perfectly acceptable. The other one's creepy as all fuck. So thank you for bringing those forward, though. I think we're gonna wrap up now because we're approaching. I think what about we're over the 2.5 hour zone, so that's fine. But I think we got a lot of interesting films and ideas out there during this couple of hours.
Yeah. There'll be a private members only stream on Roman fans where he eats pizza for money. And we talk about the Serbian film.
Nice.
And I am naked while I'm eating pizza and I have giant green boobs. So
are there any pineapples involved? Because that might be a clincher for.
I don't know what that means. So
he'll put any topping on the pizza for $100.
It starts off as a naked pizza and then we dress it up.
It's so good. It's so good. So, good God. Anyway, I want to thank everybody who showed up for the show tonight. Obviously, out in the chat, Salty and Nosferatu and Dempsey and Jacob Ironside and all the folks who show up for this cast every week. So thank you for coming out. It gets weird sometimes. I mean, that's kind of the point of the thing, and that's all part of the fun. It's just how bizarre it can get. And I wanted to definitely thank Matt, the Unbearable 73, and the Nerdporeal Gross Out, who is normally the Nerdporeal Lifeform in his regular life. Yes, you, for coming out tonight and sharing your thoughts on the scary movie business, because you guys brought some very interesting things forward and things that, Eraserhead I hadn't heard of, and of course Eyes Without a Face and Peeping Tom, which are both going to keep me awake at night now. So I appreciate that. So what do you guys got going on this week? Nerdporeal, what do you got going on after this weird thing?
Well, I mean, tonight is the season finale of the greatest show ever made.
Oh no, is it already over?
The greatest Rings of Power show ever made.
It was over before it began.
So
wait. Rings of Power and She-Hulk ended on the same day?
I know, it's crazy.
Ah!
There is a God after all.
So yeah, me and I'm gonna be on Prophet of the Dragons watch along. We're just gonna be trash talking it the entire night. So that's what's coming up.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
an hour.
That's gonna be fun.
Well, it broke Salty. Like Salty, he watched a few episodes. It broke him. So there was a power vacuum, and Prophet kind of took over the reins. So it didn't break Prophet. It didn't break. I mean, it's breaking him, but it didn't break him totally to the point where I'd have to take over, the power vacuum.
Well, I both love and hate Prophet. He is my internet nemesis.
That's right. That's right. I know.
He's both brilliant and horrible all at the same time, and I wish him nothing but ill will. So, so you guys are doing that tonight. What else? Do you have anything else coming down the pipe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Next week, Monday, I have 3 serial horror chats planned next week. Monday.
Wow.
Monday, I'm doing with Brandon, the anime guy. We're going to be talking about the anime film Perfect Blue. So that's on Monday.
Love the anime guy.
Thursday, I'm going to be with Fanzine. We're going to be talking about The Howling from 1981, Joe Dante.
Oh my God, that is such a good movie.
And then, of course, Friday next week, Snowdub, me, and Salty Texas C, we're going to talk about John Carpenter's The Thing.
Nice.
That's next week. And, of course, I'm trying to see if I can plan some more for the following week. So I'm trying to see some.
I don't know if that's quite enough. So The Thing is always such a fun discussion because there are so many levels to that film, and everybody sees things a little bit differently. But there's just so much that goes on in that movie, and that's like a 12-hour stream just on its own. Yeah,
and there's so many open questions. Like I had open questions when I did my review on it. So yeah. But yeah, I've been reaching out to a bunch of people. Some people have responded. Some people ghost. That's the business. That's the business of
that's the business
getting people. So, but yeah, if anyone's interested in doing serial horror chat with me, let me know. And I'd love to know. Like I usually pick people who are like very passionate about the movies that they like. That way, if they know more than me, it'll be a great discussion then. So
well, I'm a horror movie data bank, so if you need someone, let me know.
Okay,
that is true. That is true.
And you got to watch his Planet of the Apes retrospective, guys. Anyone out there who's listening to this, go watch his Planet of the Apes thing.
I may or may not have done one, but yeah, I did do a Planet of the Apes one. Thanks for what do you call it? Plugging me. Thanks for plugging me, Matt.
You damn filthy Nerdporeal.
All right, so Matt, what do you got going on? You're always popping videos these days. My
Princess Bride video for the 30th anniversary will be up probably tonight. It'll post tomorrow morning or something like that. I'm going to record it right after I do this. I got Rings of Prime. Rings of Prime has been good for my channel. I do 2 videos for each episode. One is a lore video, and the other one is the review. The lore video is a poppin'. The last one is a 264, which is now my second most watched video, which the highest one's a computer video. Nice. So I'm going to keep it up. I always have episode 8 stuff up over the couple of days. I'm gonna keep doing lore videos in general weekly afterwards. I think because people seem to like them, so I'll keep it up with that. What else? I got a Bleach. I'm gonna review the Bleach episodes that I add to my show. Reviews. I will get back to Stranger Things. At the reviewing those. What else I got going on? I'm going to try to add some computer content videos in. Every time I do a video, though, I get stymied on something. I show up on Wednesday nights, D&D, on OBG70's channel. We're doing a campaign there. My 50 subscriber, I guess, celebratory stream is going to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday coming up. If anyone wants to pop on, let me know ahead of time. I'm going to start advertising that.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything Tuesday. Let me, advertise it. Let me know, and I'll join you for that one.
Yeah, I'll send you like a little talk in the chat afterwards. And anyone else who wants to shoot me up and let me know, shoot me up. Don't shoot me up because I don't want to do drugs, but or get shot with bullets. Although on Roman's OnlyFans page, I might be willing to do that for money. It's America. Anything for money on OnlyFans now, right? But,
fair enough. Fair enough.
That's it. Okay, that's it for now. Yeah. So
right on. Okay, Steven, what do you got for your 900 shows coming up this week?
I was just dropping some links in the chat, but tomorrow I'm going to be on Potato Revens stream, he's doing a discussion part 2 on the Dominion Wars, Deep Space Nine arc.
Oh, nice.
And we're going to be basically going kind of off topic and speculating on what the Federation should have done and what the Federation should have looked like after the Dominion Wars or after the Borg Wars in the first place. And, how come they weren't arming more and, just kind of chewing the fat on the Star Trek universe in general and
They weren't
how military
prepared.
they should be in comparison and why they were never prepared and, what's wrong with Earth? How come anything can get that close? I mean, isn't there a whole solar system they have to get to in the first place? So there's all of that we get into. And it was a lot of fun last time. There was 14 guys on the panel.
Wow.
That's
oh
a
my
lot of
God.
people. Wow.
That was
That's a
cool.
beast.
And so well behaved. Everybody had a chance to chat. Nobody was stepping over the other guy. There was excuse me's and no, you go firsts and everything like that. It was a very polite panel. So looking forward to it. And then Let's Talk Geeky on Saturday. That's noon for me, 8 p.m. in the UK's with PJ Maybe.
Yep.
Actually, I forgot one thing that affects Steven. He's doing a show with me every other week, Grumpy or Not So Old Men.
Right.
Weekly, I'm claiming the 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Wednesday night time slot. So I'm pre-booking shows, but every other week it's Grumpy or Not So Old Men. So guys of Steven or Romans or Salty are middle ages, just kind of talking long-term topics. And this week's topic is going to be musicians or bands. Should they quit? Should they stay? Or should they change something up significantly to
They should
actually be
definitely
relevant?
quit.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a Cars song for that. Isn't there a Cars song for that?
Yeah.
Should I stay or should I go?
That would be the Clash.
The
Oh, the
Clash.
Clash. Sorry, there I go. There's my 80s card out the window. No more MTV for me.
Stranger Things, season 1.
Sweet Mother of God. All right, everyone. Well, this has been a very fun show. So thank you to everybody in the chat. And thank you very much to everybody who was on the panel this week. Special guest, Unbearable 73, and the Nerdporeal Gross Out, who is normally the Nerdporeal Lifeform. Check everybody out on, everybody's in the description of the show. So go and check out their Twitter and their actual shows, which are very awesome, except when Prophet of the Dragon is on, because fuck him. So everybody, have a good week, and we will see you very soon. He's found me. I don't know how much time I have left. He's coming. He's coming for all of you.
Emma wants to be a friend.
Give us a hug.